Apologize to my wife or leave. My son said it quietly, which was how I knew he had practiced it. Adam stood at the end of his dining table with one hand on the back of Elise's chair. There were 6 plates in front of us, 5 people pretending not to look at me, and a chocolate anniversary cake slowly leaning to the left because somebody had set it too close to the candles. Elise's face had gone red from her collarbone to her ears. "Don't make me the reason he has to leave." "I'm not," Adam said. "He made himself the reason." Joan touched my wrist under the table. It wasn't affection. It was a warning. I looked at Adam, then at Elise. "Which lie did you believe?" Nobody moved. "The one you told her about me," I said, "or the one you told me about her?" Adam's hand slipped off the chair. Elise turned toward him, but I saw only the start of it, the first half-inch of her head moving, before Joan whispered my name like I'd dropped a match in dry grass. That was the unanswered question hanging over us when I pushed my chair back. I didn't knock anything over. I didn't raise my voice. I folded my napkin and left it beside a plate of food I hadn't touched. People later behaved as though that proved I had planned the whole thing. The truth was, I hadn't planned anything. Planning would have required believing my son might actually force me to choose between a false apology and the front door. I chose the door. The dining room opened into a narrow hallway Adam had painted dark green after Elise said beige made the house look apologetic. There were framed photographs along one wall, their wedding, a trip to Santa Fe, Joan and me at our 40th anniversary dinner. In that last picture, Adam had an arm around both of us. He looked like the kind of son who called every Sunday. I made it as far as the coat rack before Joan caught up. "What did you just do?" she whispered. Behind her, Rachel was saying something to Elise. Rachel always got calmer when everyone else got worse. It was one of the reasons she had become an emergency room nurse, and one of the reasons she had stopped coming to family dinners unless Joan cornered her. "I left," I said. "I noticed." Joan yanked my jacket from its hook hard enough to bring down Adam's scarf with it. She shoved the scarf back onto the peg, missed, and left it on the floor. "Are you coming?" I asked. Her stare could have taken rust off a bumper. I don't even know what I'd be coming with. That landed harder than Adam's ultimatum. The front door opened before I could answer. Adam stepped into the hallway and pulled it mostly shut behind him, sealing off the low murmur from the dining room. He had my height and Joan's dark eyes. At 39, he still looked younger when he was angry, not older. There was something in the set of his mouth I recognized from the day he'd backed my truck into the garage door at 17 and tried to convince me the wind had moved the truck. "You don't get to do that," he said. "Do what?" "Throw some vague accusation at us and walk out." "You told me to leave. I told you to apologize or leave." "That's right." His eyes flicked toward Joan. He wanted her to translate me into something softer. She had been doing that for both of us for 30 years, but this time she just held my jacket against her chest. Adam lowered his voice. "Elise thinks you hate her." I congratulated her. "You know that's not what this is about." "Then tell me what it's about." The door opened behind him. Elise stood there with her arms folded. She had taken off the silver earrings Joan gave her for Christmas. One lay on the little table beneath the mirror. I don't know why I noticed that, but I did. "It's about you saying one thing to my face and another thing behind my back," she said. I looked at Adam. He looked at me with a kind of desperate fury. Not fear exactly. Fear has movement in it. This was still. Joan stepped between us, not in the hallway. "We could go back to the table," I said. "No," Adam said immediately. Elise heard it too. Her eyes moved to him. That was the second moment I could have told the truth. The first had been at dinner. There had been dozens before that, though I hadn't counted them at the time. I wish I could say I chose silence out of wisdom. Mostly I knew that if I started explaining, Adam would start defending, Elise would start asking questions, and Joan would discover that 3 people in her family had been living inside 3 different versions of the same year. So I put on my jacket. I'm not apologizing for something I didn't say. Elise's chin trembled once. Of course not. I opened the door and stepped into the cold. Joan came out 30 seconds later. I knew because I counted every one of them from the driveway. She got into the passenger seat, shut the door, and stared through the windshield. The porch light made a yellow pool around Adam's front steps. Nobody came outside. I started the car. "Don't," Joan said. "I haven't said anything. I know. That's what I mean." We drove home without the radio. At a stoplight, Joan removed her wedding ring and rubbed the pale groove beneath it with her thumb. Then she put the ring back on. She wasn't threatening me. Joan didn't make gestures for an audience. She was checking whether something still fit. 3 months earlier, on a Saturday morning, Adam had been sitting on a red shop stool in my garage, with the back panel off a 1978 Zenith radio. He liked old machines because they failed honestly. A cracked belt looked cracked. A burned resistor smelled burned. Nothing inside a radio told you it was fine, and then complained to your wife that you had never asked how it felt. "You're holding that backward," I told him. "I'm not." "You are." He looked down at the bracket between his fingers, turned it around, and said, "They made it backward. That must be it." Saturday mornings had belonged to us since he moved back to town 12 years earlier. We didn't announce it as a tradition. He showed up one weekend with a busted toaster. The next week, I found an old turntable at an estate sale. After that, things accumulated. Our garage shelves held a graveyard of coffee makers, fans, lamps, clocks, and one green blender Joan had forbidden me to bring back into the kitchen because it smoked when you selected puree. Adam called the place Hale Repair, though we never charged anybody. Most items came from neighbors who said there was no rush and then checked in every 4 days. That morning, Joan came through the side door carrying 2 mugs. Elise called, she said. Adam kept his head down. "Already?" She wanted my lemon chicken recipe. "There is no recipe," I said. "You attack a chicken with a lemon and hope." Joan handed me coffee. That's why she called me. She placed Adam's mug beside him, kissed the top of his head, and noticed the radio. "Is that Mrs. Bell's?" "Yes," I said. "She died. Then she's being very patient." Adam laughed harder than the joke deserved. Joan gave me the look that meant death should not become funnier just because a person was no longer available to object. She went back inside, leaving the smell of coffee and her hand lotion behind. Adam waited until the door closed. Elise got Seattle. I set my screwdriver down. "The training program?" He nodded. "That's terrific." "Yeah." I expected a smile. Adam could smile when he was proud of Elise. I'd seen it at her restaurant openings, standing a few feet behind her, while other people congratulated her. His pride always looked a little surprised, as though her talent had happened in the night. Instead, he picked at a flake of varnish on the radio cabinet. "She's wanted this a long time," I said. "Apparently." I looked at him. "You knew she applied. I knew she was thinking about applying." "That's different?" "She submitted everything without telling me." He said it casually, but his knee had begun bouncing. The stool gave a faint squeak each time. Maybe she didn't think she'd get it. Then why apply? "I've entered the hardware store raffle every Christmas for 20 years. I don't want a kayak. That's not remotely the same. No, a kayak would be harder to move to Seattle." He gave me a look. I picked up my screwdriver again. The program was a big deal. Even I understood that. And most of what I knew about professional kitchens came from watching Elise throw out one of my cutting boards, because I'd used it for raw chicken sometime during the Clinton administration. She had spent years teaching adults how to cook well enough to get steady restaurant work, not glamorous work, real work. She remembered every student's allergies, parole schedule, bus route, and mother's surgery. She could be impatient, judgmental, funny, and so generous it embarrassed people. Seattle wanted her to design a larger version of the program and run it for a year. "What do you want?" I asked. "I want her to be happy." "That's not what I asked." He rotated the radio bracket again. It was backward now. "My job is here. You work remotely 3 days a week, and in the office too. There are offices in Seattle, not my office." He stood and walked to the shelves, pretending to look for something. Adam's work involved logistics for a regional furniture distributor. He was good at it because he could look at 6 bad options and find a 7th that disappointed everybody equally. "I like our life," he said. "We just got the house where we want it. Mom's here, Rachel's here, you're here. You can say you don't want to go. You think I haven't? I think you've said a lot of things around it." He turned. "You don't understand how she gets. Then explain it. She hears what she wants to hear. If I say I have concerns, she hears that I don't support her. If I say we should slow down, she hears that I'm threatened by her career. Are you? See?" I asked. He dropped the cabinet cleaner onto the bench harder than necessary. "You always liked Elise," he said. "I still do. More than me sometimes." I laughed because the alternative was taking him seriously. He didn't laugh. "Adam, forget it." He sat down again and worked in silence for a while. Outside, somebody started a leaf blower. July heat pressed against the garage door, and sweat darkened the collar of Adam's gray t-shirt. Finally, he said, "She listens to you. That hasn't been my experience. She respects you. She respects me when I'm not telling her how to live." He set the bracket down. "What if you just talked to her? Not told her what to do. Just asked whether moving across the country for a year is really something a married person decides alone." There it was, small, reasonable, almost courteous. The kind of request a father could accept and later swear he had never been asked. I wiped my hands on a rag. "What exactly do you want me to say?" He looked relieved before he answered, which should have told me everything. "Just tell her marriage has to come before ambition." The side door opened behind us. Joan leaned in. "Anybody want lunch?" Adam smiled at her as if we had been discussing the weather. "Can't," he said. "Elise thinks we're meeting her sister." He grabbed his keys, kissed Joan's cheek, and left before either of us could answer. Joan watched his car back down the driveway. What was that about? I looked at the half-open radio on my workbench. "Nothing," I said. Joan stayed in the doorway. "Nothing with that face usually becomes something with dessert. I don't have a face. You have several. That one means you're keeping the peace without asking anybody else if they want it kept." Before I could answer, a car door shut in the driveway. Elise appeared behind Joan, carrying a paper grocery bag. She wore wide-legged black pants, a white shirt with the sleeves rolled to her elbows, and the expression of a woman arriving to take control of a kitchen. "I brought lemons," she announced. Joan looked at the bag. "How many?" 12. "Are we feeding a church?" I don't trust recipes that say juice of 1 lemon. Lemons vary. So do chickens. Elise glanced into the garage. There he is. "Did Adam leave?" "About 2 minutes ago," Joan said. "He thought you were meeting your sister." Elise's smile paused. "My sister is in Nashville." I picked up the radio bracket and became deeply interested in its screw holes. "He may have said next weekend," Joan offered. "He told me your garage door was stuck and he had to stay until he fixed it." All three of us looked at the open garage door. "It was emotionally stuck," I said. Elise laughed, but she watched the street a second longer than the joke required. Then she lifted the grocery bag. "I also brought wine. I was told there would be cooking." Joan followed her inside. At the door, she looked back at me. "Mrs. Bell can wait. She's been very understanding. Kitchen, Martin." I left the radio open on the bench and went in. Joan's lemon chicken did not require 12 lemons. It required 3, though she used 4 because Elise was standing beside her with a notebook. Joan cooked the way some people tell family stories. Measurements changed according to mood, details got added halfway through, and if you questioned a contradiction, she acted as if you had insulted her ancestors. "Then how much broth?" Elise asked. "Enough. Enough isn't a unit. It has been in this house for 42 years. I sat at the breakfast table trimming green beans. Elise had brought the thin French kind that take longer to trim than to eat. She believed vegetables deserved administrative attention. So, Joan said, "Seattle." Elise stopped writing. "Adam told you?" "He told Martin." Her face brightened so quickly I felt something tighten in my chest. "I got it yesterday. I wasn't supposed to hear for another week, but the director called me personally. They want me to build the curriculum, hire the instructors, everything. It's not just putting my name on something somebody else designed." "That's wonderful," Joan said. Elise looked at me. "It is," I said. "Congratulations. Thank you." She held my gaze for a moment, perhaps waiting for the rest. There wasn't one. Joan squeezed half a lemon over the chicken. "When do you leave?" "January, if I accept." "If?" "Adam and I have to work things out." There was no accusation in her voice. She said it with confidence, as if working things out was what marriages naturally did after one person received good news. "He can do a lot of his job from there," she continued. "He says it would be an adventure." I cut the end off a bean that no longer needed cutting. "When did he say that?" I asked. "Last night." Joan shot me a glance. "Sounds like he's thinking about it," I said. "He told me he'd follow me anywhere." Elise smiled. I reminded him that he complained for 6 months when we moved 4 blocks east. 4 bad blocks, I said. "They have trees. Trees hide crime." That got another laugh. Elise returned to her notebook, and I watched her write enough beside broth. Adam called while we were eating. Joan put him on speaker because her hands were greasy. "Hey," he said, Where is everybody? At our house, Elise said. Silence. Then, oh. Hey, your dad fixed the garage door. I looked at her. Her face was innocent. Joan hid a smile behind her napkin. That's good, Adam said carefully. What are you doing there? Learning your mother's chicken recipe? I thought you were seeing your sister. My sister who lives 700 miles away? Not Claire. I meant Rachel. Rachel was his sister, not hers. Elise looked at the phone. Why would I be seeing Rachel? Didn't you say something about Rachel? No. Huh, I must have mixed it up. Joan served herself another potato. The movement was deliberate, the way she moved when deciding not to speak. Adam changed the subject. Dad, did you get that radio going? Not yet. We had a little trouble with the bracket. You had it backward, I said. See, this is why nobody likes working with you. His tone made it a joke. We all laughed because the alternative was examining the first 5 minutes of the conversation. After lunch, Elise packed half the chicken into a glass container and left. She hugged Joan and kissed my cheek. At the front door, she said, "Don't let him give you a hard time about Seattle. He worries before he gets excited. I've noticed. He'll get there." She said it with such certainty that I almost believed her. Joan waited until Elise's car was gone. Want to explain? Explain what? Why our son told 3 different women he was in 3 different places. He was only in one place. Your garage, I know, I saw him. She took the plates to the sink. I followed with the serving dish. He doesn't want to move, I said. Did he say that? Not in those words. What words did he use? I rinsed the serving spoon. Joan turned off the water. What did he ask you to do, Martin? I could have answered. Instead, I dried my hands. He's nervous. It's a big change. For him or for you? I'm not nervous. You put the colander in the dishwasher. I looked down. I had put the colander in the dishwasher. Joan believed dishwashers weaken plastic over time, a theory unsupported by science but enforced by marriage. I took it out. He asked me to talk to her, I said. About what? Making sure they decide together. That sounds almost reasonable. It was designed to. Joan leaned against the counter. And what did you tell him? That I wouldn't do his talking for him. Her shoulders lowered. Good. I wanted her approval more than I liked admitting. That was another small family habit. Joan praised me for having a spine, then I used the praise to avoid using it again. Adam didn't return my call that evening. He arrived at the garage the next Saturday 40 minutes late, carrying Mrs. Bell's radio dial in a sandwich bag. You took that home? I asked. I wanted to clean it. You used dish soap. It was dirty. It had numbers on it. Still does. 3 of them. He dropped the bag on the bench. You talked to Elise. She came over. You knew she was coming? No. You could have called me. To warn you that your wife was at my house? He opened a drawer and moved tools around without selecting one. What did you say to her? Congratulations. That's it? She wanted your mother's chicken recipe. Dad. I closed the drawer he'd left open. I'm not going to tell Elise she shouldn't take the position. If you don't want to go, tell her. You make it sound so simple. The sentence is simple. And when she says I'm threatened by her, are you? He stared at me. Right. Of course you're on her side. There shouldn't be sides yet. There are always sides. You just pretend you're in the middle. That one stayed with me. He picked up the sandwich bag again and studied the smeared dial. She thinks Mom is too dependent on us. I waited. She said that? She didn't use those exact words. What words did she use? He let the bag fall. You're both obsessed with exact words. Exact words are useful when you're telling somebody what another person said. He walked to the garage opening and looked across the street. Our neighbor, Mr. Alvarez, was washing a car that hadn't moved in 2 years. He raised a hand. Adam did not notice. Elise says every decision we make has to account for this family, Adam said. Sunday dinners, birthdays, holidays, the garage. She thinks Mom takes it personally if we miss anything. Your mother does take it personally. She shouldn't. Then tell her. She says Seattle would give us room to breathe. I looked toward the kitchen door. Joan wasn't there, but I lowered my voice anyway. Elise said that? Yes, about us. About everything. He turned back toward me. His anger had drained away. What remained looked like exhaustion. I'm trying to keep everybody from getting hurt, he said. That was exactly the sort of thing I might have said. I picked up the ruined radio dial. The soap had blurred the station numbers into gray smudges. Mrs. Bell had listened to the same station every morning for as long as I'd known her, so I doubted it mattered. Still, I felt an unreasonable irritation at Adam for washing away information he had not needed to touch. "Your mother will be hurt if you move," I said. "She'll survive. It's not just Mom. No. What are you going to do every Saturday? Enjoy finishing things." He gave me a thin smile. We worked another hour. When the radio finally came on, the speaker produced a low hum and the faint voice of a man giving a weather report from somewhere beneath a layer of static. Adam stood beside me, shoulder to shoulder, both of us listening. "Do you think I'm selfish?" he asked. "I think you don't want to go." "That's not what I asked. Not wanting to go isn't selfish. What if not going costs her the position? That's between you and Elise." He reached over and switched off the radio. "You always do that." "Do what?" "Act like refusing to help is some kind of principle." He left before lunch. Over the next 2 weeks, Elise sent Joan photographs of apartments in Seattle. Brick walls, tall windows, kitchens with hanging copper pans. Joan showed them to me each evening from her phone. Adam sent me listings for houses in our neighborhood. Neither of them mentioned the other's pictures. At Sunday dinner, Rachel arrived first with grocery store flowers still in their plastic sleeve. She handed them to Joan and said, "These looked least dead." "Your faith in beauty is inspiring," Joan said. Rachel kissed me, opened the refrigerator, and took out a beer without asking. At 42, she had finally stopped pretending she liked wine because Elise did. "Where are the travelers?" she asked. "Not travelers yet," Joan said. Adam and Elise came 20 minutes late. Elise carried dessert. Adam carried nothing and complained about parking in front of the house where he'd grown up. During dinner, Rachel asked Elise about Seattle. Elise lit up. Adam put his arm over the back of her chair and told us how proud he was of her. I watched him describe the program, the neighborhood where they might live, even the weather. He sounded more excited than Elise did. Then she reached for his hand. "We haven't decided yet." He squeezed her fingers. "We'll decide together." Joan smiled at me, relieved. I should have been relieved too. After dessert, Elise found me alone in the kitchen wrapping leftover cake. "Can I ask you something?" "Depends. Is it about storing cake?" "Adam says you're worried about the move." I folded the foil over the plate. "I'll miss you both." "That isn't what I asked." Apparently exact words were spreading. I looked at her. "You earned that position. I think you should take it." The kitchen doorway creaked behind her. Adam stood there, holding 2 empty glasses. Elise smiled at me, but he didn't. 3 days later, she stopped answering my texts. The first text she ignored was a photograph of the Zenith radio back in its cabinet. I wrote, "Mrs. Bell's nephew says she used to keep it on 860. Nothing. The second was a picture of Joan holding one of Elise's lemons beside her head. It was nearly the size of her face. I wrote, "Your produce is aggressive." Nothing. On Friday I sent, "Everything okay?" The little word delivered sat under it all afternoon. Joan noticed before I mentioned it. She noticed changes in communication the way some people notice a refrigerator starting to make a new noise. "Did Elise answer you about Sunday?" she asked. "No. She didn't answer me either. She's busy. She's always busy. She usually answers while she's busy, so you know exactly how busy." I was replacing the filter over the stove. Joan stood below me with both hands on my calves, not to steady me, but to make sure I didn't step down on her. "What happened in the kitchen?" she asked. "At dinner? You went in with cake and came out looking constipated. I told her she should take the position. That's all? That was the complete conversation. With you, that doesn't mean it was the complete silence." I looked down at her. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means your face can add a footnote." "My face doesn't even have a title. Your face has chapters." The filter slid into place. I climbed down and folded the stepladder. She asked if I was worried about them moving. I said I'd miss them. That sounds normal. Then I said she'd earned the job and should take it. Also normal. Adam heard me. Joan stopped winding the cord around the ladder. "Ah, why ah? Because he's the one you were disagreeing with." I wasn't disagreeing with him in front of her. You were telling her the opposite of what he wanted you to tell her. He hadn't told her what he wanted. Exactly. There are conversations where your wife agrees with you so thoroughly that it becomes unpleasant. Adam called that evening. "Can you talk?" he asked. I looked across the living room. Joan was watching a British detective question a gardener who was obviously either innocent or dead next. Sure. Privately, I went out to the porch. We had 2 wooden chairs out there that Joan bought because they looked comfortable online. They were not. I sat in one anyway. What's wrong? You upset Elise. My free hand tightened on the armrest. How? You told her to take Seattle. She asked what I thought. You know how you said it. I said, you earned that position. I think you should take it. You made it sound like you wanted her gone. That's not how it sounded. To you. Were you in the kitchen? I walked in at the end. Then, how do you know how it sounded before that? He exhaled. This is why I didn't want you involved. I looked through the window at Joan. The gardener had become a suspect again. Joan pointed at the television as though the detective might benefit from her opinion. I didn't involve myself, I said. You asked me to. I asked you to help us think about our marriage. You gave her a blank check to do whatever she wants. I answered one question. She's been crying for 2 days. That stopped me. Elise did not use tears carelessly. At their wedding, she had remained dry-eyed through the vows, and then cried when the caterer dropped a tray of stuffed mushrooms. Why? Because she feels rejected by this family. That doesn't make sense. Feelings don't have to make sense to be real. It sounded like something Elise might say. It also sounded like something Adam might borrow from her and keep in his pocket. Let me talk to her. No. Absolutely not. If I hurt her, I'll apologize. You'll explain. That's what you do. You'll give her 6 reasons she heard you wrong. I had no answer ready because he wasn't entirely wrong, Adam continued, softer now. She thinks Mom resents her. She thinks Rachel judges her. She thinks you only pretend to support her because you want us out of town. That's 3 opposite things. Welcome to my life. Put her on the phone. She doesn't want to talk to you. Did she say that? Dad? Did she? She asked for space. I heard a cabinet close on his end. A second later, Elise's voice said something I couldn't make out. I have to go, he said. Just don't text her for a while. He hung up. I stayed on the porch until the detective arrested the gardener. Joan came outside during the closing music and handed me a glass of water. What did Adam want? Elise is upset. With you? With all of us, apparently. Joan sat in the other uncomfortable chair. What did we do? I told her what Adam had said. Not everything. I left out the part about Elise thinking Joan resented her. It felt needlessly cruel, especially if it wasn't true. That was how it worked. Adam placed a sharp object in my hand, and I congratulated myself for not passing it to anyone else. Sunday dinner was canceled. Joan told Rachel she had a headache, though she did not. I cleaned the garage until I found 3 screwdrivers I had accused Adam of taking. Elise did not call. The following Wednesday was Joan's birthday. Nothing large. Joan disliked restaurants on her birthday because servers sang at her with the aggressive cheerfulness of people hoping to turn the table. We planned dinner at home with pot roast, coconut cake, and 6 candles because 66 would have required a fire permit. Rachel arrived at 5:30 and put a bottle of gin on the counter. For medicinal purposes, she said. I'm not sick, Joan said. You raised Adam and me. There's residual damage. At 6:15, Joan checked the oven, though the roast had been ready since 6. At 6:30, she moved the dinner plates back into the cabinet. Leave them, I said. They're not coming. You don't know that. Adam would have called. Rachel stood at the sink eating a carrot over the garbage disposal. Did you confirm with him? I told him last Sunday. The Sunday dinner you canceled? Yes. Did he answer? He said he'd check with Elise. Rachel stopped chewing. What date did you tell him? Joan turned toward her. My birthday. Mom? He knows when my birthday is. I'm not defending him. I'm establishing how much stupidity we're dealing with. At 6:40, Adam called. Hey, birthday girl. Joan put him on speaker. Where are you? At home. Where are you? Rachel covered her mouth with one hand. We're waiting for you. A pause. For what? Dinner. Tonight? My birthday tends to be tonight every year. Oh no. Mom, I thought we were doing Saturday. Why? Elise said, Saturday. In the background, I heard Elise say, Said what? Adam moved the phone. His voice became muffled. Did you tell Elise about tonight? I asked. I thought you did. Why would I tell your wife about your mother's birthday dinner? Because you text her all the time. Not lately, Rachel said. Everyone looked at her. Adam's voice sharpened. What's that supposed to mean? It means Dad looks like somebody repossessed his best friend. Rachel, I said. What? We're all standing around a dead roast pretending nothing weird is happening. Elise's voice came closer to the phone. Joan, I'm so sorry. Adam told me, Saturday. No, I said it might be Saturday, Adam replied. You put it on the calendar for Saturday. I put a question mark. You put an exclamation point. I use those interchangeably. Even Joan laughed at that, though there was no humor in her face. We can come now, Elise said. It's a 40-minute drive, Adam told her. Then it'll take 40 minutes. Joan looked at the roast, the candles, the plates back in the cabinet. Don't, she said. We'll do Saturday. Are you sure? Elise asked. Of course. That was Joan's version of keeping the peace. Her voice became brighter as her feelings got darker. After they hung up, Rachel poured gin into 3 glasses. It's my birthday, Joan said. I get 2. Saturday's dinner happened, but it never recovered from Wednesday. Elise brought flowers, 2 cakes, and enough guilt to serve as an appetizer. Adam arrived cheerful. He kept touching the small of her back and calling her babe, which he only did around family when they had argued in the car. At one point, Elise cornered me near the refrigerator. I'm sorry we missed the actual day. It wasn't your fault. Her mouth tightened. I know you think I control his schedule. I don't. You don't have to protect me from what you think. I'm not. Adam entered carrying a stack of plates. Are we doing an intervention? He asked. Elise stepped away from me. Your dad and I were talking. Dangerous. He kissed the side of her head. She did not lean toward him. The following morning, I called him. You told her Saturday. I thought it was Saturday. You knew it was Wednesday. Did I? You called her on her birthday. Because my calendar reminded me. But dinner didn't? Apparently not. I stood at the garage bench, looking at the Zenith radio. Mrs. Bell's nephew had not picked it up yet. The blurred dial bothered me more each time I saw it. Why did you tell Elise I think she controls your schedule? I didn't. She thinks I do. Maybe because you're acting weird around her. You asked me not to text her. I asked you to give her space. Did she ask for space? Here we go. It's a yes or no question. Nothing with you is yes or no. The line went quiet. Then Adam said, She knows what you said about marriage. I leaned against the bench. What did I say? That ambition shouldn't come before your spouse. My eyes went to the empty stool across from me. That's what you wanted me to tell her, and you said it. No, I didn't. You said it to me. That's not the same thing. Why? Because I'm not a woman, so it doesn't count? Adam, what exactly did you tell your wife? He didn't answer. The side door opened. Joan stood there in her robe, holding her phone. Elise just texted me, she said. Her face had lost all color. I lowered my own phone. What did she say? Joan read it twice before looking up. She wants to know why I've spent years pretending to like her. Read it again, I said. Joan held the phone closer to her face. I could hear Adam breathing through mine. She wrote, I'm sorry about Wednesday. Adam finally told me you've only been inviting me because you didn't want to put him in the middle. I wish you told me yourself if you never liked me. Mom, Adam said in my ear, don't respond right now. Joan heard him. You're still on the phone with him? I put Adam on speaker. His voice filled the garage. She's upset. Anything you say right now is going to make it worse. Why does she think I don't like her? Joan asked. It's complicated. No, it's a sentence. Where did it come from? I'm not doing this with both of you. You've been doing it with both of us for years, I said. I had not meant to say it. The sentence came out sounding finished, as if it had been waiting somewhere behind my teeth. Joan looked at me. Adam went silent. What does that mean? She asked. Nothing. Her laugh was short and ugly. You just accused our son of something, and then said nothing. I may start throwing your screwdrivers into the street. Mom, this is exactly what I'm talking about, Adam said. Everybody gets emotional, and then I have to translate. Translate what? What people really mean. I mean, I'm going to call my daughter-in-law. Don't. Joan pressed Elise's name before he finished the word. The call rang once. Joan, Elise answered. Her voice was thick, not crying exactly, but close enough that Joan sat down on Adam's red stool. I got your message. I shouldn't have sent it. I'm glad you did. It isn't true. A pause. Which part? Any of it. I love you. You don't have to say that, I know. That's what makes it useful. I leaned against the bench. My phone was still connected to Adam, though he had stopped speaking. Joan's call was not on speaker, but the garage was quiet enough that I could hear Elise. Adam says you felt obligated to include me, she said. He says you think I take over everything and make him ask permission to see you. Joan looked at me. I said you like a plan, she replied. You called me controlling. I did not. You said I make a federal case out of dinner. Joan closed her eyes. That one she had said. 6 months earlier, after Elise asked everybody to choose Thanksgiving arrival times through an online poll, Joan had stood in our kitchen and announced that turkey should not require administrative hearings. I made a joke, Joan said, to Adam. Yes. Who's my husband? Yes. And you expected him not to tell me? I expected him to tell you it was a joke. Elise gave a small sound that could have been a laugh or a sob. What else did you say to him? About what? Me? Joan glanced toward the house as though an answer might be stored in there. I've complained about you, she said finally. You've complained about me too. I've complained to Adam. So have I. That's different. Why? Because he's my husband. He's my son. There are words that don't start as weapons. They become weapons according to who is holding them. I picked up my phone. Adam? The line was dead. Elise was talking again. He said, Martin thinks Seattle is me choosing ambition over my marriage. That isn't true, I said. She heard me. You're there? I'm here. So you didn't say it? No. Martin, Joan warned. I didn't say it to Elise. The second the words left my mouth, I knew I had answered the wrong question. Elise heard it too. Did you say it to Adam? No. He said it to me. What? He asked me to talk to you. Joan stood up. I continued because stopping would have been worse. He wanted me to tell you that marriage should come before ambition. I refused. The quiet on the other end changed, not relief. Something closer to a room being rearranged in the dark. When? Elise asked. The day you found out about Seattle. The day I came over? Yes. He told me the garage door was stuck. I know. Joan stepped toward me. You knew what? Before I could answer either woman, Adam's voice sounded in the background on Elise's end. Who are you talking to? Elise did not answer him. Give me the phone, he said. No. Is that my mother? Why did you ask your father to talk me out of Seattle? I didn't. I gripped the edge of the bench. Yes, you did, I said. Adam came closer to her phone. Dad, stop. You asked me to tell her marriage comes before ambition. That's not what I said. It's exactly what you said. I said we needed perspective. I asked you to talk to her because she respects you. You said, Elise cut across both of us. You told me he said it. That's not what I told you. You said your father thought a wife who left for a year was asking to become single. My hand went cold around the phone. Joan stared at me. I never said that, I told Elise. Adam's voice changed. The softness disappeared. Okay, everybody needs to calm down. No, Elise said. You need to answer me. You're twisting two separate conversations together. Then separate them. I'm not doing this while you're attacking me. Adam, we'll talk when you're not like this. A door slammed on their end. Elise breathed into the phone. Then she said, I have to go, and hung up. Joan remained on the stool with her phone in her lap. I could hear the wall clock in the kitchen ticking through the open side door. You told me he asked you to make sure they decided together, she said. He did. You did not tell me he gave you a speech to deliver. I didn't deliver it. That is not the point. I said no. And then you let me sit across from Elise and act like we all knew the same thing. I was trying to stay out of their marriage. You were already in it. Adam put you in it, and you decided if you stood very still, nobody could see you. I reached for the red stool out of habit, then remembered she was sitting on it. He told me she thought you were too dependent on us, I said. Joan's mouth opened. I hated myself before I finished. He said she wanted Seattle because this family didn't give them room to breathe. When did he say that? Last Saturday. And you believed him? I didn't know. You believed enough not to tell me. I didn't want to hurt you. She stood and walked into the house. The radio sat on the bench between us, humming faintly though nobody had turned it on. I unplugged it. Adam came over an hour later without calling. He walked through the garage opening like it was any Saturday and stopped when he saw me sitting alone. Where's Mom? Inside. I need to talk to you. You should go home. Elise won't talk to me. That sounds like where you should be. He ran both hands through his hair. You blew up my marriage over semantics. You told her I said something I didn't say. I told her you had concerns. You gave her a quote. I was trying to get her to understand that this wasn't just me. It was just you. He flinched. There it was, the thing he could not bear. Not being wrong, but being alone in it. You don't know what she's like when she decides something, he said. She just goes. She builds the whole future in her head, and then acts like you betrayed her if you're not already living in it. So, tell her that. I did. No, you told her I thought she was a bad wife. I was trying to start the conversation. You started it between her and me. He began pacing. Adam had done that as a teenager, 4 steps toward the garage door, 4 steps back. He could wear a path without going anywhere. You think you're innocent because you didn't say the exact words, he said. But you're not. You think she's selfish too. No, I don't. You said she should have told me before she applied. I said maybe she thought she wouldn't get it. You said marriage should be a joint decision. You said that. And you agreed. I agreed that married people should talk. He pointed at me as if he had finally found the loose wire. There. That's all I told her. No, it isn't. You don't remember every word you say? Neither do you, apparently. He stopped pacing. I need you to call her and clear this up. I tried. You made it worse. I told the truth. You told your version. What version do you want? He looked toward the kitchen door. Tell her you misunderstood me. I didn't. Tell her I never asked you to talk her out of Seattle. You did. I asked for help. That's what fathers do. They help their sons. I looked at him. His face was flushed, his shirt untucked on one side. He looked less like a manipulator than a man drowning in water he had poured himself. That's not help, I said. His jaw tightened. Fine. Then stay out of it now. I intend to. No texts, no calls, no dropping by. Give us time. You mean, give you time. I mean, stop making everything harder. He left through the driveway. A minute later, the front door opened and Joan came into the garage fully dressed, purse on her shoulder. Where are you going? I asked. Rachel's. For how long? I don't know. Joan. She opened the passenger door of her car, then turned back. I'm not leaving you, Martin. I'm leaving the way you're about to explain why none of this is your fault. The car backed out before I could prove her right. I spent that evening alone. I heated the leftover pot roast, ate it standing at the counter, and checked my phone often enough that the battery seemed judgmental. At 10:30, Elise finally sent a message. I don't know what to believe right now. Please don't contact me until I do. I read it several times. Then I typed, I understand. I deleted that because I did not understand. I typed, Adam has been telling us different things. I deleted that too. It sounded like recruitment. Finally, I wrote, I have never believed your work mattered less than your marriage, and I never asked Adam to choose us over you. Her reply came almost immediately. That is a very precise denial. I set the phone face down. The next morning, Joan returned in yesterday's clothes. She walked past me, poured coffee, and stood at the kitchen window. Did you sleep? I asked. Some. Did you talk to Rachel? She talked to me. About us? About patterns. I waited. Joan sipped her coffee. She wants to know why you missed her housewarming 4 years ago. I had the flu. No, Adam told her you were embarrassed because she bought a house alone after the divorce. The coffee maker clicked off. I never said that. I know. How? Because you complained for a week that the flu robbed you of free barbecue. I stared at her. Joan turned from the window. How many people in this family think you hate them, Martin? She asked. And how many times did you decide not asking was the same as keeping peace? I went to Rachel's house with a toolbox. It was not an apology, which was the problem. She opened the door, looked at the toolbox, and said, What broke? Your back step. It broke 4 years ago. I've been meaning to fix it. No, you've been meaning to feel like the kind of father who fixes it. Rachel had a way of speaking that made you want to defend yourself and applaud her at the same time. She stepped aside. Her house was a narrow brick bungalow, with high ceilings and floors that announced every footstep. I had seen it plenty of times since the housewarming I missed. Christmas, 2 Thanksgivings, a plumbing emergency. I'd even repaired the garbage disposal, though Rachel later informed me there had only been a spoon in it and she could have removed that herself. I had never asked what she thought I believed about her divorce. Nate was at the dining table with a laptop and 2 empty coffee cups. He and Rachel had been together almost 2 years. He taught accounting at a community college and dressed like he might be called into a budget meeting at any hour. Morning, Martin. Nate. He looked at the toolbox. Step. Step. She's not going to let you use carpentry as a language. I gathered. Nate closed his laptop. I'm going to buy coffee. There's coffee, Rachel said. Not far enough away. He kissed her and left through the front door. Rachel folded her arms. You have 10 minutes before he comes back with something for everybody because he can't commit to an exit. I like him. So do I. Sit down. We sat at the dining table. A crack ran through the varnish near my elbow. I had offered to refinish it twice. Rachel had refused both times because she liked knowing where Nate dropped a cast iron pan the week he moved in. Your mother told me what Adam said about the housewarming, I began. What did he say, he said? That I was embarrassed you bought a house alone after the divorce. Close. He said you thought I was trying to prove I didn't need anyone. I never thought that. You did ask if I could manage the mortgage. I asked if the payment was manageable. At Thanksgiving, in front of everybody. That was stupid, yes. But I wasn't ashamed of you. I know that now. Why didn't you ask me? She tilted her head. Why didn't you ask me? I looked at the crack in the table. I thought you needed space. Who told you that? Adam. Her expression did not change. That was worse. He called me after the divorce, she said. He said you thought I gave up too quickly, but you didn't want to say it because I was fragile. I didn't think that. Did you think my marriage could have been saved? I started to answer quickly, then stopped. I didn't know enough to think anything. You told Mom it was a shame we couldn't work it out. It was a shame. That doesn't mean you should have stayed. But you never told me that part. I assumed you knew. Based on what? I had no answer. Rachel leaned back. Adam didn't invent every silence in this family. He just got very good at filling them. That sentence made the room feel smaller. I should have come to the housewarming. You had the flu. I should have called afterward. You sent a plant. Your mother sent a plant. She put my name on it. I know. It was a fern. You hate ferns. I don't hate ferns. You called them the houseplant version of damp laundry. That sounds like me. Her mouth twitched. I reached across the table, not quite touching her hand. I am proud of you. She looked down at my fingers. You're 4 years late. I know. That doesn't mean it doesn't count. Nate returned carrying 4 coffees. Who's the 4th one for? Rachel asked. I panicked. He handed me a cup and assessed the room. Are we still emotionally disemboweling Martin? We're taking a break. Good. I got him a blueberry muffin. The back step did need repair. Rachel let me replace the split board after I promised not to treat the work as absolution. Nate helped, though he wore office shoes and handled a pry bar like it might ask him to show his calculations. While we worked, Rachel sat on the step above us. Does Elise know about the housewarming thing? She asked. No. Does she know Adam has done this with more than one person? She asked us not to contact her. That's not what I asked? No. Rachel scraped old paint with the toe of her shoe. Then she thinks this is one argument about Seattle. Probably. And Adam gets to tell her what happened while everybody respects her space. Nate looked at me over the split board. I teach logic, he said. That arrangement has a flaw. I'm not going to send her a list of accusations. Good, Rachel replied. That would look insane. What do you want me to do? I want you to stop asking the last person who spoke what everybody else thinks. I drove home with the toolbox untouched except for the hammer and pry bar. Joan was sitting at the kitchen table reading the same page of a magazine she had been reading when I left. How is she? Joan asked. Angry. At you or Adam? Yes. That earned half a smile. I sat across from her. She thought I judged her for the divorce. I know. You knew. She told me last night. Why didn't you tell me? Because she asked me not to. I started to object. Joan raised one eyebrow. Fair, I said. She closed the magazine. Did you apologize? I fixed her step. Martin. Then I apologized. In that order? Mostly at the same time. She shook her head. The next 2 Saturdays passed without Adam. On the first, I reorganized the bins of electrical cords by length. On the second, I undid that system because it turned out length was less useful than plug type. Mrs. Bell's nephew finally came for the radio. He was a heavyset man named Curtis who kept his sunglasses on inside the garage. Mom listened to baseball on this, he said. She listened to weather too, only to know if baseball would be canceled. I showed him the blurred dial and explained the dish soap. Curtis ran his thumb across the smeared numbers. She never changed the station anyway. That's what I figured. He plugged it in. A voice rose through the static, discussing road construction. Sounds good, he said. It drifts. You'll have to correct it sometimes. Everything does. He carried the radio away in both arms, and the empty spot on the bench looked larger than the radio had. Adam came the following evening. He waited at the garage opening until I noticed him. No stool, no coffee, no broken machine between us. "How's Elise?" I asked. "She hasn't left me, if that's what you mean." It wasn't. "She's going to Seattle, I assumed. She has to decide by Monday." "What are you going to do?" "I don't know." That was more honest than most of what he had said all month. He entered the garage and picked up a small Phillips screwdriver. He turned it between his fingers. "She thinks I panicked," he said. "You did. She thinks I lied. You did. I simplified. You invented a sentence and put my name on it. She wanted to know why I had concerns. You had concerns because you don't want to move. I have a life here, so say that. I have." Without mentioning me, he set down the screwdriver. "Do you enjoy this?" "No. You sound like you do." I sound like someone who is tired of being quoted in conversations I wasn't in. He walked to the red stool but did not sit. "She wants to have an anniversary dinner," he said. "Just family, something normal. When?" "Next Saturday." Their anniversary was actually Thursday. They usually went away for a weekend, or Elise planned a dinner at a restaurant where menus did not include prices. "Why at the house?" "She wants to cook." Elise wants to cook for 6 people after spending all week teaching people to cook. She says she needs to stop feeling weird around everyone. Does she know I'll be there? Yes. Did she invite me? Or did you? His eyes hardened. "Do you have to interrogate every nice thing now?" "It's one question. She told me to invite you." "Those were her words?" "Dad." I waited. Finally he said, "She said we couldn't avoid you forever. That isn't an invitation. It is for Elise." Joan came into the garage carrying a dish towel. "Why are you here?" she asked Adam. He blinked. Joan had never greeted him that way in his life. "To invite you to dinner. You have a phone. I wanted to come in person." She looked at his empty hands. "Is Elise coming?" "No." "Then you came alone to invite us to a dinner she supposedly wants." Adam's face reddened. "Why is everybody acting like I'm on trial?" "Because every answer creates 2 questions." He looked at me. "You told her." "I told her what happened. You said you were staying out of it. I'm married to her. So am I." "To someone else," Joan said. Despite everything, I nearly laughed. Adam did not. "Elise is trying," he said. "She's willing to sit down with all of you and move forward. She invited Rachel and Nate too. That solved the 6th plate." "Does Rachel know?" Joan asked. "Yes." "From you?" "From Elise." Joan's expression softened slightly. It was the first thing he had said that could be checked without passing through him. Adam saw it. "Please," he said. "No arguments, no Seattle debate, no bringing up Rachel's housewarming or Mom's birthday. Just dinner." "You want us to pretend none of it happened," I said. "I want one night where nobody takes a sentence apart like it's evidence." "You took my sentences apart. You handed the pieces to your wife." He looked at the floor. Then he surprised me. "I'm sorry." It was quiet and unadorned. Joan tightened the dish towel in her hands. I wanted to accept it. More than that, I wanted to be the kind of father who could accept it and restore the room to its proper temperature. "What are you sorry for?" I asked. His head lifted. "Seriously? I want to know." "I'm sorry I brought you into it. That isn't the same as lying." He laughed once without humor. "This is what you want now? You want me to use the word?" "Yes." "You want me to say I lied so you can sit there being the only honest person in the family?" "No one said that. You don't have to. It's all over your face. My face is tired. So is mine." Joan stepped between us before either of us could turn exhaustion into something permanent. "We'll come," she said. I looked at her. She did not look back. Adam exhaled. "Thank you." At the garage opening, he stopped. "Elise is still raw. If she says you hurt her, don't argue about exact wording. Just apologize for the effect." "I'm not apologizing for a quote you invented. I didn't say that." "Then what are you warning me about?" He stood in the fading light with the driveway behind him. "I'm asking you for once not to make being right more important than keeping this family together." After he left, Joan hung the dish towel over the back of the empty stool. "You agreed without asking me," I said. "Yes." "Why?" "Because I want to hear what Elise says when Adam isn't the only person in the room carrying messages. And if it turns ugly," she looked at me, "then at least it will be our ugly." On Saturday afternoon, Joan changed her blouse 3 times. The first was too dressy. The second made it look as though she had not tried. The third was the first one with different earrings. "What are we bringing?" I asked. "Nothing. It's an anniversary dinner." "Fine, bring nothing in a gift bag." We had already purchased their gift weeks earlier, a heavy enameled Dutch oven Elise had admired and refused to buy for herself. It sat wrapped on our bed. I carried it to the car. "That's not nothing," Joan said. It cost enough to count as several nothings. She took the gift bag from me and rearranged the tissue paper. Before we left, she stood in the foyer with her keys in one hand. "If he says something happened, we ask the person it supposedly happened to. All right. If Elise gets angry, we let her be angry. All right. If you try to lower the temperature by making yourself the stove, I will hit you with their anniversary present. That thing weighs 16 pounds. Then behave." Rachel and Nate were already there when we arrived. Nate's car was parked half on the grass because Adam's next-door neighbor had left garbage cans spaced along the curb as if reserving seats for a parade. Adam opened the door. "Hey," he said, smiling too widely. "You came. You invited us," Joan replied. "Right, of course." The hallway was painted dark green. Elise had told me beige made a house look apologetic, and I had spent 10 minutes wondering whether she meant our house. Photographs lined one wall. In the picture from our 40th anniversary, Adam stood behind Joan and me, with an arm around each of our shoulders. Elise came from the kitchen wearing black pants, a soft gray blouse, and the silver earrings Joan had given her for Christmas. "Happy anniversary," Joan said. Elise accepted the gift bag with both hands. "You didn't have to bring anything. That's why Martin carried it." Elise smiled. The smile did not reach me, but it tried. She hugged Joan. With me, she hesitated. I saved us both by leaning forward for a quick kiss on her cheek, the way I always had. She smelled like citrus and wood smoke. "Something's burning," I said. "That's intentional?" "Good. I usually claim that too." She laughed, and for half a second I could see the woman who had once called me from a hardware store because Adam insisted there was no difference between a wrench and pliers if you squeezed hard enough. Then Adam touched her shoulder. "Wine?" he asked me. "Sure." He poured before I answered. Rachel and Nate were in the dining room. Nate wore a sport coat. Rachel wore a black sweater and the expression she usually reserved for hospital administrators. "Dad," she said. "Rachel." That was all. She had warned me by text that she would not protect anyone from an awkward silence. She was already doing an excellent job. The table was set for 6. Elise had folded the napkins into shapes that looked like small white bishops. A chocolate cake stood on the sideboard, beside 2 candles formed, like the numbers 1 and 2. 12? I asked. 12 years, Adam said. I know. I was checking whether the cake did. Elise carried in a platter of chicken. Joan stared at it. Is that my recipe? Adapted, Elise said. It has olives. That's the adaptation. And the skin is crisp. That's competence. Joan put a hand over her heart. I've been replaced. You still have the emotional rights. Dinner began better than any of us deserved. The chicken was excellent. Nate told a story about a student who had calculated a final grade to 4 decimal places, and then accused mathematics of being subjective. Rachel described a patient who had brought his own pillow to the emergency room because hospital pillows didn't support his truth. Even Joan relaxed. Adam performed normality with great skill. He refilled glasses before they were empty. He touched Elise's hand when she spoke. He asked Rachel about work and nodded at the answers. I watched him and wondered how many times I had mistaken effort for honesty. Elise raised her glass. To 12 years, she said. We lifted ours. To 12 more, Adam replied. Something passed across her face. Not rejection, calculation. She drank. After the toast, Joan asked, Did you accept Seattle? Adam reached for the bread. Elise nodded. Monday morning. That's wonderful, Joan said. It is. Congratulations, Nate added. Rachel looked at Adam. Are you going? We're working out logistics. I'm going in January, Elise said. Adam hasn't decided what he's doing. I have a job, he replied. So do I. I know. You keep saying it like you're reminding yourself. He put down the bread. Elise. What? We said we were going to be honest tonight. Adam looked toward me. I took a drink of wine. Rachel noticed. Why are you looking at Dad? I'm not. You did. He's sitting across from me. So is the chicken. Nate placed his fork down carefully. Anyone want to hear another accounting story? No, Rachel said. Fair. Elise looked at me. Can I ask you something? Adam leaned back in his chair. Of course, I said. Do you think me going to Seattle means I'm choosing my career over my marriage? No. Have you ever thought that? I've thought you and Adam needed to talk honestly about what you both want. That isn't what I asked. No, I don't think taking the position makes you a bad wife. She held my eyes. Do you think I'm asking to become single? No. Adam made a small movement with his hand. Elise turned to him. You said those were his words. I said that was the message. You put quotation marks around it. There were no actual quotation marks. We were talking. You said, my father said a wife who leaves for a year is asking to become single. Joan's fork touched her plate with a sharp click. Adam looked at me. Tell her what you told me in the garage. I told you to speak for yourself. Before that. You told me marriage should come before ambition. And you agreed. I agreed that married people make decisions together. There. Adam pointed at me. That's what I was trying to explain. You explained it by giving him your sentence, Elise said. I was paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is not inventing a father. Can we stop acting like one sentence is the whole problem? Rachel folded her napkin. It's not one sentence. Adam turned toward her. Please don't. You told me Dad was ashamed of me after my divorce. His face changed. Elise looked between them. What? That has nothing to do with us, Adam said. It has to do with you telling people what Dad supposedly thinks. I was trying to help you understand why he was distant. He was distant because you told him I needed space. Adam's chair creaked beneath him. I don't remember that. I do, I said. Of course you do. You all had a week to build this version together. No one built anything, Joan said. You told me Elise thought I was needy. I said she felt pressured. You said she wanted Seattle because we didn't give you room to breathe. Elise stared at him. Adam looked at his plate. Did you say that? She asked. I said you felt suffocated. I said your lying was suffocating me. That is not how you said it. It is exactly how I said it. He laughed and rubbed both hands over his face. This is unbelievable. I invite everybody here to celebrate our anniversary. And you turn it into an ambush. You invited the people you lied about to eat with the person you lied to, Rachel said. What outcome were you picturing? Rachel, I said. She looked at me. Don't. She was right. I had used her name as a handbrake. Elise's eyes had filled, but her voice remained level. I want to know whether your father ever told you he thought I was selfish. Adam looked at me again. There were two ways the moment could go, and he still believed I might choose the old one. I could see it in his face. I could take some portion of blame, admit to a vague concern, let him retreat into misunderstanding. When I did not help him, his expression hardened. You hurt her, he said to me. Whatever you think I said, she is sitting here hurt because of you. Just apologize. For what? For judging her. For making her feel unwelcome. For acting like our marriage belongs to this family. I didn't say any of those things. You don't have to say something directly to make people feel it. That's true, Joan said quietly. I looked at her. She did not rescue me either. Elise wiped under one eye with her finger. I need to know what is real. I know, I said. Then why did you stop texting me? Adam told me you asked for space. I never asked him to tell you that. Adam pushed his chair back. So now everything is my fault. No, I said. Some of it is mine. Then apologize. I will apologize for my part. Apologize to my wife or leave. The sentence was quiet, practiced. The chocolate cake leaned toward the candles, its frosting softening in the warm room. 5 people pretended not to look at me. I looked at Adam, then Elise. Which lie did you believe? The room went still. The one you told her about me, I said, or the one you told me about her? His hand slipped from the back of Elise's chair. Joan touched my wrist under the table. I folded my napkin beside my plate and stood. The hallway seemed longer on the way out. Joan caught me at the coat rack. She pulled down my jacket and knocked Adam's scarf to the floor. When she missed the peg trying to put it back, she left it there. Behind us, Rachel said. He didn't invent this tonight. Elise asked Adam something I could not hear. What did you just do? Joan whispered to me. I left. I noticed. The front door opened before we could decide whether she was coming with me. Adam stepped into the hallway and pulled it nearly shut. You don't get to throw some vague accusation at us and walk out. You told me to leave. I told you to apologize or leave. That's right. Elise came to the door. One silver earring remained on the little table under the mirror. She had taken them off without my noticing. I'm not apologizing for something I didn't say, I told her. Of course not, she replied. I went outside. Joan joined me after 30 seconds. I counted them from the driveway. We drove home without the radio. At a red light, she removed her wedding ring, rubbed the pale groove beneath it, and put it back on. Don't, she said when I opened my mouth. I kept driving. At home, she walked straight to the bedroom, took her pillow, and carried it to the guest room. I thought you said you weren't leaving me. I'm not. Then what is this? She held the pillow against her chest. This is me refusing to wake up beside a man who will spend all night convincing himself that being falsely accused means he did nothing wrong. The guest room door closed. My phone vibrated. The first message was from Adam. You got what you wanted. The second came before I could answer. Stay away from us. Then Rachel wrote, Nate and I left. Elise asked Adam to sleep somewhere else tonight. I stood in our dark hallway with the phone in my hand, listening to Joan move around behind the closed door. The family had finally compared notes. It did not feel like the truth had set anyone free. I slept on the living room sofa because going to our bedroom felt dishonest, and knocking on the guest room door felt worse. At 2 a.m, I opened the notes app on my phone and typed Adam's name. Under it, I wrote Seattle, Joan's birthday, Rachel's housewarming, garage door, space. I stared at the list until the words looked less like events than labels on boxes I had packed myself. Then I deleted the whole thing. At 6, the guest room door opened. Joan came out wearing her robe and carrying the pillow. For one hopeful second, I thought she was returning it to our bed. She dropped it onto the sofa beside my feet. You snore louder out here. Different acoustics. Coffee? Yes. We moved around the kitchen without touching. She measured grounds. I filled the reservoir. It was the kind of teamwork people could mistake for a healthy marriage if they arrived at the right moment. When the machine began dripping, Joan leaned against the counter. How long? I knew what she meant. A while. That is a unit of time used by guilty people. I didn't know how much was deliberate. How much did you know? I sat at the table. I knew he blamed Elise when he wanted to leave dinner early. Joan waited. He'd tell me she was tired. Then sometimes she'd look surprised when he said they had to go. Anything else? He told me she didn't want to come for Thanksgiving 2 years ago. She had pneumonia. I found that out later. Did you ask him why he lied? He said he didn't want you worrying. Joan poured coffee into 2 mugs. She brought hers to the table and left mine on the counter. Keep going. He told me Elise hated Saturdays because they took over the weekend. Did she? I don't know. You could have asked. Yes. Keep going. I looked toward the dark window above the sink. He used to tell me not to mention things to her. Small things. If he forgot to pick something up, if he didn't call, he'd say she was under pressure and would take it personally. And you went along. Usually. Why? The answer I had used for years was that I wanted to protect their marriage. It no longer sounded respectable enough to say aloud. I like Saturdays, I said. Joan sat across from me. There it was. The ugliest truth in the plainest sentence. I liked that he came here, I continued. I liked that he called me first when something broke. If he said Elise was upset about the time, I figured it was between them. So, you let her be the difficult one. I didn't say anything about her. You didn't have to. You sat here every Saturday accepting the version of her that kept him on that stool. I rubbed both hands over my face. I thought I was giving them room. You were giving Adam cover. I see that. Do you? Her voice did not rise. Joan had learned from living with me that calmness could be sharpened. I didn't invent his lies, I said. No. You made yourself a very comfortable place for them to land. The coffee machine clicked. I got up from my mug. Behind me, she said, he learned some of it from you. I turned. What does that mean? Tell your mother traffic was bad. I remembered before she explained. Adam had been 19. I had gone to a retirement dinner for a man I worked with and stayed afterward talking in the parking lot. Joan and I were supposed to meet friends at a movie. I knew she would be angry, so when I saw Adam in the kitchen, I had handed him my keys and said, if she asks, tell her traffic was bad. It was one time, I said. No. She looked toward the hallway. Tell your mother the hardware store was crowded. Tell your mother the part didn't come in. Tell your mother I said Tuesday, not Monday. Those weren't lies. Some had been. Some had been the softening of facts. Some I could no longer remember well enough to classify. I never told him to turn people against each other. You taught him disappointment was something a man escaped by adjusting the story. I carried my coffee to the table, but did not sit. What do you want me to do, Joan? I want you to stop asking me that, as if I'm the foreman of your conscience. She took her mug and returned to the guest room. At 8:15, Adam called her. I knew because her phone rang through the wall and the house went silent immediately afterward. 10 minutes passed, then 20. When Joan came out, she was dressed. What did he say? He wanted to know if he could stay here. My heart gave a stupid lift. What did you tell him? No. Why? Because he has a wife he needs to speak to. She asked him to leave. She asked him to sleep somewhere else for one night. He went to a hotel. You could have let him come here, and then what? Feed him, listen to his version, and send him back once we've helped him feel misunderstood? He's our son. Yes. That's why I said no. She picked up her purse. Where are you going? To church. You haven't been to church in 6 years. I need a building where nobody is related to me. After she left, I went to the garage. The dish towel she had hung over Adam's stool remained there. I folded it and took it inside, then came back out and unfolded it over the stool again. At 9, the time Adam usually arrived, I heard a car slow near the driveway. It kept going. I worked on a desk fan from Rachel's hospital break room. The motor ran, but the blades turned so lazily they seemed opposed to the concept of air. I cleaned the bearings, replaced the cord, and put everything back together. It still moved at the speed of a thoughtful ceiling fan. At 10:30, my phone rang. It was Joan's sister, Linda. Are you trying to break up Adam's marriage? She asked. Linda had never wasted time establishing emotional weather. Good morning to you too. Adam called me. Why? He wanted to know if he could stay here. Did you say yes? I told him I have 1 guest room and 3 cats who are not accepting applications. I smiled despite myself. What did he tell you? That Elise took some job across the country, you encouraged her, and then you accused him of lying at their anniversary dinner. Most of those words are true. Martin. He asked me to tell Elise that marriage should come before ambition. I refused. Then he told her I said she was asking to become single. Linda was quiet. Did you? No. Did you accuse him in front of everybody? I asked which lie he wanted me to apologize for. That sounds like accusing. He told me to apologize or leave. So you left. Yes. You could have called him a liar without sounding like Clint Eastwood. I don't sound like Clint Eastwood. You practice sentences in your head. It makes people nervous. I didn't practice it. That's worse. I heard one of her cats yowling. Linda sighed. He says you've always disliked Elise. That isn't true. He says you think she controls him. Also not true. He says you've been trying to push him to move to Seattle because you like her more. That's a new one. Should I call him back? No. Why? Because I wanted to be the only person allowed to decide what happened next. Because I was angry. Because every time Adam told the story, he spread it farther from anything I could recognize. Call him if you want, I said. Just ask him what he actually said to Elise. Linda paused. That was almost mature. I'm having a difficult morning. After we hung up, I called Rachel. Is this about Mom's call? She asked. What call? She wanted to know if she could come over. Did she? No. I told her she could if she brought food. She called me ungrateful. She went to church. Rachel was silent. Is she all right? She's angry. At Adam. At me. That'll happen. I sat on the red stool. It was lower than I remembered. Did Adam call you? 4 times. Did you answer? The 4th. What did he say? That you've been collecting grievances against him for years. I deleted the list. What list? Nothing. Dad. I wrote down a few things last night. For what? I don't know. To prove your case? Maybe. Are you going to? I deleted it. Rachel exhaled. Good. Why does everybody assume I'm about to hold a press conference? Because calm men are terrifying when they finally decide they're martyrs. I'm not a martyr. Then stop sounding disappointed. Nobody built you a statue. I looked at the broken fan. What did you tell Adam? I told him I wouldn't discuss you. I asked why he lied to me about the housewarming. What did he say? That he was trying to protect my feelings because you'd made some careless comments after the divorce. Did I? You told Mom you never trusted my ex-husband's loafers. He wore them without socks. That is upsetting, not relevant. Did Adam admit he invented it? He said he may have overstated. Of course. And then he cried. That quieted me. Adam cried. He's scared, Dad. I know. You can know he's scared without taking the blame back. The fan blade moved when I turned it by hand, made one full rotation, and stopped. Where is he? Hotel near the highway. Should I go see him? No, you didn't even think. I've been thinking about this family for 4 years, while the rest of you kept asking Adam for weather reports. She softened before hanging up. Elise is going to call you. How do you know? Because she called me. What did you tell her? That she should talk to you? About the housewarming? I told her I wasn't going to package my experience for delivery through someone else. That sounds rehearsed. It was. Nate helped. She hung up. Joan came home carrying a church bulletin and a foil-wrapped loaf of banana bread. Did church help? I asked. A woman named Gloria told me, anger is grief's bodyguard. What does that mean? I don't know. Then she gave me bread. She set it on the counter. My phone vibrated. Elise's name appeared on the screen for the first time in weeks. Can I come by this afternoon? I need to hear exactly what he told you, not what anyone thinks he meant. I showed Joan. She read it once and handed the phone back. What are you going to say? The truth. All of it? I don't know what all of it is. That's a better answer. Elise arrived at 3 carrying the Dutch oven we had given them the night before. She held the gift bag by both handles and stood on our porch with the expression of someone returning something too heavy to keep. When I opened the door, she looked past me at Joan. I'm not bringing this back, she said. Adam put his overnight things in it. Joan stared at the bag. Despite herself, she laughed. Elise did too. Then the laugh broke in the middle, and she began to cry. Joan opened the bag. Inside were 2 shirts, a pair of jeans, socks, a toothbrush, and Adam's shaving kit. The Dutch oven was nowhere in sight. The pot is at home, Elise said through her tears. I told him to pack a bag. I didn't realize he'd take the anniversary bag. Efficient, I said. He didn't even remove the tissue paper. Joan pulled out a sock wrapped in burgundy tissue. Festive. Elise laughed again, then covered her face with both hands. Joan set the bag down and put her arms around her. Elise resisted for half a second. Then she folded against Joan's shoulder, crying with the furious silence of a person who hated making noise while hurt. Joan held her without saying anything comforting. There are moments when comfort can feel like pressure to recover. I stood in our foyer with one hand still on the doorknob. Come in, I said, which was late enough to be ridiculous. They moved to the kitchen. Joan sat Elise at the table and began opening cabinets. Coffee? She asked. No. Tea? No. Wine? It's 3 o'clock. That wasn't a no. Water. Joan filled a glass, then placed the foil-wrapped banana bread beside it. A woman at church gave me this after saying, anger is grief's bodyguard. Elise wiped her face with a napkin. Church sounds more dramatic than I remember. We left before lunch. I sat across from Elise. Joan remained standing until Elise looked at the empty chair beside her. Please sit. Joan did. For a while, none of us spoke. The refrigerator came on. Somewhere outside, a truck backed up with 3 loud beeps. Elise put both palms around the water glass. Is Adam here? No, Joan said. He called me this morning, I added. He asked Joan if he could stay. Elise looked at her. I said no. Why? Because coming here would let him turn us into his side. Elise lowered her eyes. I didn't ask him to leave forever. I asked him to give me one night without explaining what I misunderstood. Where did he go? I asked. A hotel, I think. He called Linda too. Elise gave a tired laugh. Of course he did. You know about Linda? He told me your whole family was calling him. Linda called me, I said. What did he tell her? That I encouraged you to take Seattle and then attacked him at dinner. That's almost true. That's what I told her. She looked at me for the first time since sitting down. I need you to answer questions, she said. Not defend yourself. Not explain what Adam might have meant. All right? Did you ever tell him I was selfish? No. Did you ever say I cared more about my career than my marriage? No. Did you say a wife who leaves for a year is asking to become single? No. Did you tell him you wished he had married someone who wanted a simpler life? No. Joan inhaled sharply. That's new, I said. He told me you said it last Christmas. Last Christmas I told him you made the best prime rib I'd ever eaten. He said you thought I was showing off. I thought you were showing off. I enjoyed it. Her mouth tightened. She was trying not to smile, and that made the hurt underneath more visible. Did you tell him I'd made Joan anxious about holidays? I glanced at Joan. She answered, I told Adam your scheduling spreadsheets made me anxious. They're not spreadsheets. They're shared calendars. I'm 66. Anything with colored rows is a spreadsheet. Did you say you didn't want me there? No. Did you say I made every gathering about myself? Joan hesitated. I said you made Thanksgiving feel like a military landing. Elise's eyes narrowed. You assigned arrival windows, Joan said. There were codes. Those were categories. There was a legend. You kept asking what time everyone was coming, so you made air traffic control. That doesn't mean you had to complain about me to my husband. No, Joan said. It doesn't. Elise waited for the defense. Joan gave her none. I was irritated, she continued. I vented to my son because he was standing in my kitchen. I expected him to hear that I was irritated about one thing. I didn't consider that he might carry it home as evidence that I had never liked you. You should have considered he's my husband. Yes. The agreement unsettled Elise more than an argument would have. She took a drink of water. When Adam and I left your house early, did you blame me? Sometimes, I said. Her face closed. Not because you did anything. Because that's what he told me. What did he say? That you were tired. Or had an early morning. Or didn't want to drive after dark. I don't mind driving after dark. I know that now. He told me you got quiet if we stayed too long. He said I shouldn't make him choose between keeping you company and going home with his wife. I stared at her. Saturdays, she said. Did you think I wanted him to stop coming? He said you resented how much of the weekend it took. He told me you depended on those mornings, that you wouldn't ask him directly because you were too proud, but that canceling made you feel discarded. I never said that. I encouraged him to come. Even when you wanted time with him? Yes. Why? Because I thought it mattered to you. It did matter to me, but not for the reason he said. No. Elise stared at the table. A small crescent of water had formed beneath her glass. I spent years trying not to take your son away from you, she said, and you spent years thinking I wanted to. The kitchen seemed full of all those Saturdays at once. Coffee in paper cups, burned wires. Adam on the red stool, complaining about how hard it was to keep everyone happy, while two people rearranged themselves to make him comfortable. I didn't always believe him, I said. Elise looked up. Then why did you act like you did? There was no answer that made me look good. Because he kept coming, I said. If I challenged him, I thought he might stop. So, you accepted me as the cost. The words landed cleanly. Yes. Joan turned toward me. I kept looking at Elise. I'm sorry. For believing him? For recognizing that he was using you as an excuse and letting him? For not asking you what was true? For treating access to my son like it mattered more than your place in this family? Her face twisted, and she looked away. That's not the apology he demanded. No. What was that one? He wanted me to apologize for things he said. And you couldn't. I wouldn't. But you let me believe them for weeks. Yes. The tears returned, slower this time. I thought I had gone crazy, she said. You congratulated me in the kitchen. Then Adam told me what you supposedly said. Then you stopped texting. Sunday dinner disappeared. Joan's birthday got changed. Every time I thought something didn't fit, there was another thing that made it fit. I'm sorry, I said again. I don't know what that does, neither do I. Joan reached toward her, then stopped before touching. I am sorry too, she said, for complaining through Adam instead of to you, for believing him when he said you wanted distance, and for being so eager not to seem needy that I let you disappear. Elise looked at her. You didn't pretend to like me? No? Not even a little? I pretended to like your rosemary dessert last Easter. It was olive oil cake. It was shrubbery. Elise laughed into her napkin. Joan touched her wrist. That cake was terrible. I love you? It won an award. Judges can be corrupt. They sat that way for a moment, hands touching on the table. Then Elise asked, What did he tell you about Seattle? I told her. Not every impression, not my theory of Adam, only the sentences I remembered. He said she thought Joan was too dependent on them. He said she believed our family controlled every decision. He said Seattle would give them room to breathe. He said she wanted space from me. Elise listened without interrupting. When I said his lying was suffocating me, she said, We were in our bedroom. I had just found out he told his boss I didn't want him working late when he was the one who asked to be taken off a project. Why? He was worried he'd fail. It was easier if I was demanding. Joan closed her eyes. "How long have you known?" I asked. I knew there were little things. I thought they were little. She rubbed the damp napkin between her fingers. "He hates disappointing people. He'll tell a waiter the food is wonderful and then never return to the restaurant." I thought it was that. "Does he lie to everyone?" Joan asked. "I don't know. That's the problem. Once you start asking, every memory opens another door." She sat back. "I accepted Seattle." "I know," I said. "I'm going alone." "Does that mean—" "I don't know what it means." She looked from Joan to me. "I don't want him punished. I want him to tell me one true thing before I have to drag it out of him." "What if he does?" I asked. "Then I'll ask for another." Her voice broke on the last word. Elise stayed another hour. We ate banana bread that tasted mostly like cinnamon and grief. When she left, she took Adam's anniversary bag with her. At the door, Joan asked, "Why take his clothes back?" "Because if I leave them here, he'll say I sent him to you." After her car disappeared, Joan and I remained on the porch. "You did let her be the cost," she said. "I know. That apology doesn't fix it." "I know." She looked at me. "You keep saying that." "I'm trying not to explain. It's unsettling." That night, she slept in the guest room again. At 9, someone knocked on the garage door instead of the front. Adam stood outside holding his hotel key card. "What did you tell my wife?" he asked. I looked at the empty red stool behind me. "What she asked me," I said. His eyes were swollen. "She says she's going to Seattle without me. That was her decision." "No, that was yours." He stepped into the garage and pulled the door down behind him. "Now," he said, "you're going to help me fix it." "No," I said. Adam stared at me. "You don't even know what I'm asking. You want me to tell Elise you didn't lie. I want you to tell her you misunderstood me. I didn't." He walked past me to the workbench, picked up a pair of pliers, and put them down somewhere else. "That," I said, "is where the pliers go." "Are you serious?" "No. They go in the second drawer." He knocked them onto the bench. "You sat with my wife for how long?" "About 2 hours." "And you just unloaded everything?" "She asked questions. I answered them." "Did you tell her you've always liked her more than you like me?" "I don't." "You light up when she talks about her work. You ask her questions. When I talk about mine, you make jokes about shipping furniture. You ship furniture. I manage distribution of furniture. You don't even know what I do." He was right. I knew he worked with schedules, warehouses, drivers, and stores. I knew he complained about a man named Brian, though I could never remember whether Brian was his supervisor or his assistant. I knew Adam worked late on Wednesdays unless he didn't. And I knew he had once saved his company a great deal of money by changing something about delivery zones. I did not know whether he liked his work. "Do you?" I asked. "Do I what? Like what you do?" He laughed in disbelief. "You're asking me that now? I should have asked before. You think one sincere question makes you a father again?" I didn't know I'd stopped. "You stopped the second you decided I was the villain. I decided you lied. To protect my marriage. You lied because you were afraid of a conversation. You know all about that." His words hit with enough accuracy that neither of us moved for a moment. The garage door was shut, trapping the day's heat. I reached for the switch that controlled the ceiling fan, then remembered the fan had developed a rattle, Joan said, sounded like a spoon trapped in a washing machine. Adam sat on the red stool. "You want to know why I don't tell the truth?" he asked. "Because in this family, the truth is whatever keeps Mom from getting upset. That's not fair. Tell your mother traffic was bad." I looked at him. He gave a small, bitter smile. "She mentioned that? She didn't have to. I was there. You were 19. I was there for the hardware store, too. And the fishing trip you didn't want to go on. You made me tell Mom you hurt your back. My back did hurt. You went bowling with Uncle Pete that night. That was different." "Of course it was." I leaned against the workbench. "You're right. He had another argument ready. My agreement left it hanging." "You're right," I said again. "I used you to avoid disappointing her. You did it all the time. I didn't do what you did. No, you were better at it." He looked toward the side door, the one Joan might open at any moment. "You'd make it small," he continued. "A different time, a little traffic. Somebody misunderstood. Mom would still be irritated, but nobody had to sit in it. Then you'd go clean the garage until she stopped being mad. I thought I was giving her time. You were waiting her out. The fan above us ticked as it cooled. I taught you something bad, I said. He looked down. That doesn't excuse what you did to Elise. There it is. What? You admit your part and immediately get to be wise about mine. I don't know how to admit it without also saying you're responsible for being 39 years old. Try harder. I pulled out the metal chair from under the workbench and sat opposite him. All right, I taught you that disappointment was dangerous. I made you carry excuses to your mother because I didn't want to face her anger. I acted like avoiding a fight was the same as solving something. You learned it from me. His eyes filled, but he blinked hard and looked away. I'm sorry, I said. He rubbed his palms over his jeans. That doesn't help me. No, you get that, right? It doesn't make Elise trust me, I know, and you telling her every bad thing I said definitely didn't help. She deserved answers. You could have waited until I was there, so you could tell us what we meant? His jaw tightened. I was angry, I said. He looked back at me. At dinner, I was angry. I wanted you cornered. I asked which lie you wanted me to apologize for because I knew you couldn't answer without exposing yourself. You planned it. No. But once you told me to leave, part of me wanted to hurt you on the way out. He stared at me for a long time. Thank you, he said. For what? For finally admitting you enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it. You held that sentence like a knife. I said part of me wanted to hurt you. That doesn't mean I'm glad I did. Convenient distinction. Maybe. He stood and walked to the garage door. I need you to call Elise. What do you want me to say? That I panicked? That I wasn't running some long con? That I didn't wake up every morning plotting how to make her hate you? I don't think you did. Tell her. You tell her. She doesn't believe me. Then tell her things she can verify. She verifies everything now. She asked me whether I actually liked the restaurant we went to for her birthday 6 years ago. Did you? No. Did you tell her? I said it was fantastic. You had 6 years to choose a better restaurant. That's not the point. It's slightly the point. He pressed both hands against the closed garage door. She asked if I wanted children. I went still. We decided years ago that we didn't, he continued. She asked if that was true, or if one of us had said it first, and I agreed because I didn't want a difficult conversation. The adult story guard says, no baby/pregnancy plot. This is a mention, but could become mechanism, avoid. Oops, we should not introduce, need not include. Replace with, asked if I ever wanted to move out of state, or whether I liked the house. Let's adjust. Continue draft from before, will ensure no minor. Use house. She asked if I ever wanted the house. He continued. The house we bought together. She asked if I liked it, or if she picked it, and I agreed because I didn't want a difficult conversation. Did you like it? I don't know anymore. That's not the same as no. To her it is. Every answer is contaminated. He turned. That's what you don't understand. You can tell the truth now because everybody expects you to be honest. I can say something completely true, and it sounds like another move. That may be the cost. Easy for you to say. No, it's easy for me to recognize. I'm paying a smaller version in my own house. He glanced toward the kitchen door. Mom's still in the guest room? Yes. Because of me? Because of me. That answer surprised him. He returned to the stool, but did not sit. What did you do? I let you make other people the problem because I enjoyed the version of our relationship. It bought me. That's dramatic. It's true. You liked fixing things with me. Yes. So did I. The words nearly undid me. We stood there with all the dead appliances around us. Two men who could explain how current moved through a motor, and not how one honest sentence was supposed to cross 6 feet of concrete floor. Why don't you want to go to Seattle? I asked. I told you, my job is here. If your company transferred your job tomorrow, would you go? He looked at the red stool. No. Why? I don't want to be the person who moved for his wife. Why? Because she's already better than me at being interesting. I waited. He laughed once, embarrassed. You asked. I'm listening. Everyone wants to know what Elise is doing. Her programs, her students, the restaurants she helps. People tell me she's amazing, then they ask me whether trucks arrived on time. Do they? No, they don't ask at all. Does Elise treat you that way? No. Then who does? He looked at me. I do. The honesty frightened him. I saw it happen. His shoulders rose as if he could take the sentence back by closing around it. I'm good here, he said. At work, I know everybody. At the house, I know which door sticks and where the grocery store keeps the coffee she likes. In Seattle, I'd be her husband. I'd stand behind her at another opening while people congratulated her for becoming bigger. You're afraid she'll outgrow you. She already has. That's not something you know. She got the call, and I knew. Before she even told me, I knew she'd go. So you decided if she went, it had to mean she was selfish. I needed her to slow down. You needed her to be wrong. He sat. Yes. It was the first clean answer I had heard from him in months. I reached for him, then stopped. He noticed. You can, he said. I put my hand on the back of his neck. He bent forward, elbows on his knees, and covered his face. He did not sob. His breathing broke into uneven pieces. I kept my hand there until it settled. The side door opened. Joan stood in the doorway wearing slippers and holding the church banana bread. She took in Adam on the stool, my hand on his neck, and the hotel key card on the bench. Are you staying? She asked him. Adam sat up. I don't know. That is not a room reservation. He asked me to help fix things, I said. I didn't ask you, Joan replied. Adam wiped his face. Can I stay here tonight? Joan looked at me. I shook my head once. Not no. Not my answer. She understood. Have you told Elise where you are? She asked. No. Then call her. She won't answer. Leave a message. What if that makes it worse? Joan leaned against the doorframe. Then you'll be uncomfortable. Adam picked up his phone. He stared at the screen. Now? No, Joan said. Next Easter. He almost smiled. He called. The phone rang until voicemail answered. Adam closed his eyes. Hey, he said. It's me. I'm at Mom and Dad's. Dad didn't ask me to come, and they didn't tell me I could stay. I came because I wanted him to talk to you for me. He stopped. Joan pointed at the phone. Adam continued. He said no. He told me I have to tell you myself. Another pause. I don't want to move to Seattle because I'm afraid I'll disappear inside your life. I told myself you were forcing me because that sounded better than admitting I'm jealous of you. His voice cracked. I lied about what Dad said. He didn't tell me you were selfish. I said that. He didn't ask me to choose this family over you. I used them because I didn't want you to know the objections were mine. He looked at me. I gave him nothing. No nod, no correction, no rescue. I'm going to stay here tonight if they let me. Not because they're taking my side. They aren't. He swallowed. I'm sorry. He ended the call. The garage was silent. Joan unfolded one side of the foil and cut him a piece of banana bread with the small knife she had brought from the kitchen. You can have the sofa, she said. Adam took the bread. What about Dad? He's been promoted. To what? I asked. Our bed, she said. Don't make me regret it. That night, Adam lay on the sofa under the quilt his mother kept for guests. I stood in the dark hallway and listened to him turn over, stop, then turn again. At midnight, his phone rang. He answered on the first vibration. Hi, he whispered. I could not hear Elise. Adam sat up. Yes, he said. That was true. He listened. No, I'm not coming home tonight. Another pause. Because you asked for a night, and I'm trying to believe you mean what you say. His voice shook. Yes, tomorrow. He ended the call and remained sitting in the dark. What happened? I asked from the hallway. He looked toward me. She wants to meet. That's good. She said, if I lie once, she's leaving. I leaned against the wall. Then don't. He gave a quiet, frightened laugh. You say it like it's simple. The sentence is simple. This time, neither of us pretended the rest would be. At 7 the next morning, Adam stood in our kitchen making eggs. He had always cooked scrambled eggs too quickly. The pan was too hot, the butter browned, and he moved everything around as if afraid one part might remain uncooked long enough to testify. Joan watched from the table. You're hurting them, she said. They're eggs. They had potential. Adam turned off the burner. Do you want some or not? No. He put half on a plate for me and half on one for himself. Then he looked at Joan. You always say no and eat Dad's. I'm consistent. He scraped some onto a third plate. We ate in silence. The eggs were dry. Nobody said so. Adam had showered and put on the same clothes from the anniversary bag. The shirt was wrinkled from being folded around a shaving kit. What time are you meeting her? I asked. 9. Where? Coffee shop near the river. You hate that place, Joan said. The chairs look like farm equipment. Elise picked it. He ate 2 more bites and set down his fork. What do I say if she asks something I don't remember? That you don't remember, I replied. She'll think I'm avoiding. You did a lot of that, Jones said. Mom, you asked. I asked him. Then you haven't learned much. Adam looked toward me for help. I buttered my toast. He caught himself looking and gave a tired smile. Right. His phone sat face down beside his plate. Every few minutes, his eyes went to it. Do you think she'll forgive me? He asked. Joan reached for one of his eggs. No idea? What do you think? I think forgiveness is not the appointment you have at 9. What is? Listening. That sounds like Gloria. Gloria had banana bread. I'm considering her a prophet. When Adam left, he hugged Joan. She held him for 1 second, then 2, then pushed him gently toward the door. Don't tell her what you think she wants to hear. What if what she wants to hear is true? Then it'll still be true after she doesn't believe you. He nodded. With me, he stopped at a handshake. We both looked at our hands as if surprised to find them there. Call me after? I asked. I don't know. All right. He left. Joan cleared the plates. She scraped the remaining eggs into the garbage. I would have eaten those. They died badly. I helped load the dishwasher. When I reached for the plastic colander drying beside the sink, she slapped my hand away. Not everything changed overnight. Apparently. She closed the dishwasher. Neither did we. I know. You slept in our bed because the sofa was occupied. I know. That wasn't reconciliation. I know. She leaned against the counter. If you say that one more time, I'm going to ask you to explain something. I shut my mouth. Her face softened. I'm angry with you, she said. Not because Adam lied, because you were so proud of being the calm parent that you let me become the difficult one. I didn't think you were difficult. You didn't have to. Every time I got angry, you lowered your voice. Every time I asked a direct question, you told me not to overreact. The children learned that Dad was reasonable and Mom was weather. Rachel never thought I was reasonable. Rachel was born suspicious. I smiled. Joan did not. You made my anger into a problem you could outlast, she continued. Adam learned to get around it. Rachel learned to come straight through it with a knife. She doesn't carry a knife. You know what I mean? Yes. And now? Now I stay. Where? In the conversation. That sounds rehearsed. It is. She folded her arms. What if I'm unfair? I tell you. What if I don't calm down? I stopped treating calm as the price of being heard. She looked away. The wall clock ticked. The refrigerator came on. Ordinary sounds had become witnesses in our house. I'm still sleeping in the guest room tonight, she said. I understand. That was close to, I know. I adapted. At 10:30, Adam texted, still talking, at noon. She asked me to move out. At 12:01, not forever. She says she doesn't know. Joan read the messages over my shoulder. Don't answer yet, she said. Why? Because whatever you say, he'll carry it into the next hour. I put the phone down. At 1:15, it rang. Hey, Adam said. His voice sounded scraped hollow. How did it go? Bad. Are you still at the coffee shop? I'm in my car. Did she leave? 20 minutes ago. I sat at the kitchen table. Joan remained by the sink, close enough to hear my side, without pretending she wasn't listening. What happened? She asked questions. Did you answer? Most of them? Truthfully, I think. You either? I don't know what's true about some things anymore, Dad. I stopped. He breathed into the phone. She asked if I wanted her to accept Seattle. I said no. She asked if I was proud of her. I said yes. She said those things couldn't both be true. They can. That's what I said. What did she say? She cried. He sounded offended by the helplessness of it. She asked whether I changed her birthday reservation because I hated the restaurant. I did. I told her they lost it. I called and moved it because Brian invited me to a hockey game that night. Brian is your boss, my assistant. I finally knew. Did you go to the game? No. Brian canceled. What did you tell Elise? That the restaurant found the reservation. I closed my eyes. She thought they'd made a mistake. I know. What else? I told her about Mom's birthday, the housewarming, the garage door. I told her I said the things about you. Did you tell her why? She doesn't want why yet. That's fair. No, it isn't. Why matters. Not before what? He was quiet. She said she feels like I've been editing her life. I looked at the blank wall above our kitchen phone jack. We had removed the landline years ago, but never painted over the small square where it had hung. What did you say? I said I was trying to keep her from being upset. And she asked how that worked out. Despite everything, I nearly laughed. So did Joan. She covered it with a cough. Adam heard. Is Mom there? Yes. Am I on speaker? No. Can I talk to her? I handed Joan the phone. She listened for a moment. No, she said. I don't hate you. Another pause. Yes, I'm angry. She pulled out a chair and sat. Because you made me useful to your lies. If Elise was upset, I was demanding. If Martin was hurt, I was fragile. You turned loving you into a medical condition we all had to manage. Her eyes filled. No, don't apologize yet. Listen. She listened again. That's not listening. That's waiting to tell me you were scared. She closed her eyes. I know you were scared. Her voice softened, but only a little. You still did it. When she handed the phone back, Adam was crying. Dad? I'm here. Elise leaves in 6 weeks. I know. She wants me out before then. Do you have somewhere to go? I can get a furnished apartment. Do that. You don't think I should stay here? I think you need a place that isn't anyone's side. He went quiet. That's what she said. She's often smart. I know you think that. Adam? Sorry. He exhaled. She said she might talk to me after she gets settled. She won't promise anything. Then don't make her. What am I supposed to do for 6 weeks? Tell the truth. To who? Start with the people you lied to. How many do you think there are? I don't know. That's comforting. It wasn't meant to be. He called Rachel that afternoon. I knew because Rachel called me immediately afterward. Your son apologized, she said. Our son? He said he told me you were ashamed because he thought I was angry at you and wanted to give me a reason that wasn't his fault. Was that the whole apology? No. Then he said he was sorry without adding that he loved me. Is loving you bad? When used as packing material. I could hear Nate in the background asking whether she wanted tea. Did you accept? I asked. I told him I believed he was sorry. That's not what I asked. It's what I had. She was quiet for a moment. He sounds awful. He met with Elise. I know. Everybody knows everything before me. You trained us to communicate around you. That was not entirely fair. I let it stand for 5 seconds, then remembered my promise. I don't think that's fair. Rachel paused. No, she said, it isn't. Correcting her did not break anything. The conversation remained alive. She came for dinner that night with Nate. Joan made soup. Nobody invited Adam. His empty chair at our table felt like a punishment, though excluding him had not been the purpose. That was one of the difficulties of consequences. From a distance, they looked a great deal like revenge. Rachel told us he had rented a furnished apartment 15 minutes from his house. The lease was month to month. He asked if Nate could help him move, she said. What did you say? I said he should ask Nate. Nate lifted his spoon. I said yes. Do you want me to come? I asked. It's 3 suitcases and a coffee maker, Nate said. I believe we can manage. Rachel looked at me. He specifically said not to ask you. I nodded as if that didn't hurt. On Saturday morning, I went to the garage at 9. The red stool was empty. No paper coffee cup appeared beside my tools. No car slowed in the driveway. At 10, I started repairing the hospital fan again. At 11, I made it worse. Near noon, Adam appeared at the garage opening. He wore old jeans and carried a cardboard box labeled kitchen in Elise's handwriting. I thought you were moving, I said. I am? What's that? Your stuff. Inside were 3 screwdrivers, a socket set, 2 extension cords, and a coffee mug that said, Hail Repair. Most of this is yours, I said. It was at my house. Some of it was yours. I don't know which. He set the box on the bench. Nate said you didn't want my help, I said. I didn't. All right. He looked around the garage. I can't do Saturdays for a while. I kept my eyes on the box. Because Elise doesn't want you to? No. The word came quickly. He noticed. Because I don't know whether I came because I wanted to, or because I liked being the son who came. That can be both. I need to figure it out without you helping. That hurt more than blame would have. All right, I said. He picked up the Hail Repair mug, turned it once, and put it back in the box. Then he left me with the tools we had never known how to divide. I left the box on the workbench for 3 days. Every time I needed a screwdriver, I opened the second drawer instead of reaching into it. The box became less a container than an accusation with flaps. On Tuesday, Joan came into the garage and began sorting it. "What are you doing?" "Finding out which tools are ours." He said he didn't know. He also watched the numbers off a radio. "His judgment is not sacred." She held up a socket. "Yours?" "Probably." "That is not ownership. It matches my set." "Then yours." She dropped it into the drawer. The Hale repair mug remained in the box until last. Joan lifted it by the handle. "His," she said. "He gave it to me. He bought 2. Yours is in the cabinet. I use an old diner mug. That doesn't change the census." She put Adam's mug back in the box. "What do we do with it?" "Nothing. That seems to be our specialty." Joan looked at me. I let the remark sit without lowering my voice, smiling, or telling her she was being unfair. After a moment, she said, "That was cheap. A little. I'm sorry. Thank you." We stood there, both suspicious of how simple it had been. She closed the box. "You don't have to suffer correctly because Adam stopped coming." "I'm not. You've spent 3 mornings pretending that fan is repairable. It is repairable. You told me yesterday its motor was made by idiots. Idiots make repairable things. Come inside for lunch. I'm not hungry." That wasn't a food question. I followed her. She continued sleeping in the guest room, but some nights she sat on our bed while I folded laundry and told me what she was still angry about. I had spent years believing anger depleted if you did not feed it. Jones did the opposite. Ignored anger, learned to forage. She remembered a dinner with friends when I told everyone she had misread the time, though I was the one who had given her the wrong hour. She remembered a weekend trip I postponed, then let Rachel believe Joan had changed her mind. She remembered me saying, "Your mother's tired," when what I meant was that I wanted people to leave. "Do you have a file?" I asked one night. "I have a memory. That seems inconvenient." It has been. I apologized until the word began to sound cheap. Then Joan made me stop apologizing and answer questions. Why had I done it? What had I been afraid would happen? What would I do differently? The answers were not noble. I disliked conflict. I wanted to be liked. I believed the person who appeared least emotional automatically won. I had confused being easy to live with and being absent in very similar ways. A week after Adam returned the tools, Linda called. "He apologized to me," she said. "For what?" "For telling me you were trying to destroy his marriage." That was quick. He took 14 minutes. I meant, never mind. He also admitted he called because he hoped I would pressure you. "Did you?" "I called you." "Right. I told him I was sorry for helping." That surprised me more than Adam's apology. "What did he say?" "He said, 'Thank you.'" "Nothing else?" He started to explain, then stopped. It was unsettling. "Are we certain he's not in a cult?" "He's trying. So is a raccoon in a locked trash can. He's our raccoon." "Speak for yourself." Before hanging up, Linda added, "He sounds lonely." I looked through the kitchen window toward the garage. "So does everybody," I said. Adam called once a week, not Saturday morning. Never from the furnished apartment if he could help it, because the walls were thin and his neighbor watched game shows at a volume intended for stadiums. He did not ask to come over. He asked questions. Did I remember whether he had actually chosen logistics work or taken the first offer after college? Had he always hated conflict? Did I think Elise would come back? I answered what I knew and left the rest alone. His company offered to let him work from Seattle temporarily. He declined. "Did you tell Elise?" I asked. "Yes." "What did she say?" "She thanked me for telling her." "Did she ask you to reconsider?" "No." "Are you disappointed?" "Yes." That was another clean answer. Elise stayed in the house while she prepared to leave. Adam remained in the apartment. They met twice a week, usually somewhere public, because she said she needed to be able to stand up and go when conversations started changing shape. Joan saw her on Sundays. They cooked together once, then decided cooking created too many knives and switched to coffee. I respected Elise's request for distance. It was harder than I expected. Several times I took out my phone to send her something ordinary. A photograph of a crooked vegetable, an article about the Seattle rain, a complaint about people who put cheese on fish. Each time I stopped. Then she texted me first. Can you and Joan help me pack the kitchen Saturday? Adam is coming for his remaining things. I don't want anyone carrying messages after. Joan read it and said, "That last sentence is our family motto now." On Saturday, we arrived at Adam and Elise's house at 10. The dark green hallway was lined with boxes. White labels marked Seattle, Storage, Adam, and Donate. Elise's handwriting was square and decisive. Adam's scarf remained on the floor beneath the coat rack where Joan had knocked it down after the anniversary dinner. I picked it up. "Leave it," Elise said from the dining room. I held the scarf in one hand. "He's coming for it." I set it on the small table beneath the mirror, beside the single silver earring she had removed that night. "You found the other one?" I asked. It was under the dining table. She touched her bare earlobe. "I haven't worn them since." Joan pretended not to hear. In the kitchen, the Dutch oven sat on the stove. Elise had used it enough to leave a faint brown mark around the bottom. "You kept it," Joan said. "It cooks well." That is the correct emotional response to cookware. We packed mixing bowls, knives, and jars of spices. Elise rejected 3 rolls of bubble wrap as environmentally irresponsible, then accepted an entire box of plastic storage bags because throwing them away unused would be worse. Joan called this ethics by exhaustion. At 11, the front door opened. Adam came in with Nate. He stopped when he saw all 3 of us. "Hi." "Hi," Elise replied. Nate lifted 2 empty boxes. "I'm here as labor and a witness with no relevant knowledge." "You can take the bedroom," Elise told him. "There are clothes Adam left in the closet." Nate looked at Adam. That sounded hostile, but efficient. "It's both," Adam said. They went upstairs. Elise wrapped a glass measuring cup, unwrapped it, and wrapped it again. "He told me about the job offer," she said. "I kept folding a box flap. He said he turned it down." "He did. Did you tell him to?" "No. I didn't think you did." That was the first time she had offered me trust without making me earn it inside the same sentence. I did not thank her. Gratitude would have made it a favor. Adam returned carrying 2 coats over one arm. Nate followed with a laundry basket. "I have a question," Elise said. Adam stopped. "Okay. Did you tell your father I mocked his work?" His eyes went to me, then returned to her. "No." "Did you tell him I mocked mine?" "No." "Did you ever tell him I thought I was too good for this family?" He gripped the coats. "No, I told him you thought his Saturday routine was taking over our life." Which wasn't true. "No." "Why?" Adam looked at the laundry basket in Nate's hands. "Because I wanted to come here, and I didn't want you angry about it. I wasn't. You were angry that I left you alone every Saturday without asking. That's different. I know. Do you?" "Yes." Elise folded her arms. What was I supposed to feel? Like my father needed me. And what did he feel? Like you resented him. And what did you get? Adam's face collapsed inward. "Saturday?" Nobody spoke. Nate lowered the laundry basket to the floor. "I can wait outside," he said. "No," Elise replied. "Stay. I don't want this becoming a different conversation later." Adam looked at me. "I'm sorry." I had imagined him saying it. In some versions, I forgave him immediately. In others, I made him work harder. Both had been fantasies about control. "I believe you," I said. He swallowed. "That's it? For now." "I don't know what to do with that." "You don't have to do anything." Elise sat at the dining table. It was the same chair she had occupied the night of the anniversary dinner. "I leave Thursday," she said. I asked Adam to drive me to the airport. Joan stopped wrapping a skillet. Adam looked startled. "You did?" "I was going to ask today." "Why me? Because I want to say goodbye to my husband, not escape from him." He sat opposite her. "Does that mean you want me to come later?" "No." The answer hurt him visibly. "I need to build a life there without wondering whether every bad day proves I ruined yours," she continued. "I need you to build a life here that you admit choosing." "For how long?" "I don't know. Are we separated?" "Yes." He nodded. "Are we getting divorced?" "I don't know." "What can I do?" "Stop trying to discover the correct answer before you speak." His fingers tightened around the chair. "I love you." She closed her eyes. "I believe you." He began to cry. Elise did not move toward him. She cried too, quietly, with both hands flat on the table between them. Joan touched my elbow and guided me toward the kitchen. Nate picked up the laundry basket and followed. We gave them as much privacy as a house full of boxes allowed. On Thursday, Joan and I stood in their driveway while Adam loaded Elise's suitcases into his car. The anniversary gift bag sat on top of one suitcase, still stuffed with burgundy tissue. "What's in that?" I asked. "Shoes," Elise said. "Festive," Joan replied. Elise hugged her for a long time. When she came to me, I opened my arms and let her decide. She stepped into them. "I don't hate you," she said against my shoulder. "I know." She pulled back. That sounded very confident. "I'm trying something new." She smiled. Adam closed the trunk. He looked pale but steady. "I'll call when she's through security," he told me. "You don't have to report. I know." He opened the passenger door for Elise. Before she got in, she looked at him. "Did you tell them I asked you to call?" "No." "Good." The car backed down the driveway. Joan and I remained by the curb until it turned the corner. That night, Adam called. "She got on the plane," he said. "I'm sorry, me too." Then, after a pause, "I'm glad she went." The sentence hurt him to say. I could hear that. "I'm glad you told me," I replied. Winter settled over the garage. Saturdays passed without the red stool moving. One evening, nearly 5 months after Elise left, my phone lit with a message from Adam. "She's coming home next week for 10 days. She wants to see everyone." A second message followed. "Can we have dinner at your house?" She knows exactly who's invited. I showed the messages to Joan. She read them and handed the phone back. "Ask Elise. Adam says she knows. Adam has said many people knew many things." I called Elise. She answered with traffic noise behind her. "Hi, Martin. Are you asking for dinner at our house?" "Yes." "Good. That's it?" I was told to verify. She laughed. I asked Adam because I'm trying to let him do ordinary things without assuming they're traps. "How's that going?" He bought me theater tickets for Friday and told me he hates theater. Before or after he bought them. Before. Progress. He says there are snacks. There are snacks everywhere if you bring a large enough coat. She laughed again, then grew quiet. "I don't want dinner to be an announcement." "What kind?" "Any kind." We're not getting back together. We're not getting divorced. We're not asking everyone to analyze where we sit. I can put name cards on the ceiling. Thank you. "Elise." "Yes?" "I'm glad you're coming." This time the silence felt warm. "So am I," she said. Joan chose lemon chicken for dinner, the original version without olives. She claimed this was not a statement, then spent 20 minutes deciding whether an olive garnish would be passive-aggressive. It would be active-aggressive, I told her. Exactly. She left them out. I offered to make dessert. "You can buy dessert. I can bake. You can create something warm and sweet. That is not always baking." We bought a chocolate cake from the grocery store. I checked that it stood level before putting it in the cart. Adam came over the day before dinner. He knocked at the front door. He had not entered through the garage since leaving the box of tools. Over the previous 5 months, we had met for coffee 4 times and lunch twice. He always chose public places. I never asked why. He never pretended not to know. He looked healthier than he had in our kitchen after the anniversary dinner, though not happier. Happiness had been replaced by something less visible and more reliable. He slept. He ate. His shirt was ironed. "Is Mom here?" he asked. "Grocery store. I wanted to talk to both of you." "She'll be back." We sat on the porch in the uncomfortable wooden chairs. "How's the apartment?" I asked. "Still furnished by a person who believes gray is a personality." "You could buy a chair." I did. "What color?" "Blue. Bold." He ignored that. "Elise is staying at the house while she's here. I'm staying at the apartment." "Whose idea?" "Both of ours." "Actually, yes." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "I visited Seattle last month." "I know." His eyebrows rose. "She told Joan. Joan told me." "Right." Was that supposed to be secret? No. I'm learning there's a difference between privacy and arranging information. How did the visit go? Good until the 3rd day. What happened? I told her I liked Seattle. "You didn't?" "I hated the hills." That seems specific. I also hated not knowing where anything was. She had a whole routine. Coffee place, office, gym, people who waved when she walked in. I felt like luggage. "Did you tell her?" "Eventually." "What did you say first?" "That I was tired from the flight." "Which was true?" "Yes, but not complete." "No." He smiled without pride. "We had a fight. I went back to the hotel." The next morning, I told her I was jealous that she had built a life without me. What did she say? That was the point. A cold breeze moved across the porch. Adam rubbed his hands together. She likes it there, he said. I assumed. I wanted her to miss me so much that liking it would feel like betrayal. Did it? No. She misses me and likes it. Those things can both be true. I'm starting to hate that sentence. It does a lot of work. He looked toward the driveway. My counselor says I treat mixed feelings like errors. You have a counselor? 3 months. I didn't know. I wasn't hiding it. I didn't ask. He glanced at me. That felt deliberate. It was. Progress. We sat in the cold for another minute. Do you like your job? I asked. He considered the question. Yes. Even the furniture? Especially the furniture. Brian's still your assistant? Yes. I finally remembered. Don't get emotional. He rubbed his palms together again. I don't want to move to Seattle. Does Elise know? Yes. Does that mean your marriage is over? She says she doesn't know. I say, I don't know. Sometimes we say it at the same time, which is almost romantic. The front door opened behind us. You're letting the heat out, Joan said. We're outside. The heat knows. She made coffee. Adam told her the dinner was not an announcement. She told him she had spoken directly to Elise. He nodded without taking offense. Before leaving, he stopped near the hallway to the garage. Can I ask you something? Of course. Do you want to do Saturdays again? I had imagined that question often enough to distrust my first answer. Do you? Yes. Why? He looked irritated, then stopped. Because I miss it. Because I like fixing things with you. Not because you need me. Not because Elise wants space. I want to. I let the silence remain long enough that we both had to stand in it. I want to too, I said. This Saturday? Elise is here. I know. Does she know you're coming? No. His face changed as soon as he heard himself. I'll tell her. Ask her. That too. When he left, Joan stood beside me in the foyer. You enjoyed that, she said. Yes, you can smile. I am smiling. You look constipated. It had taken 3 months for her to move out of the guest room. The thing that brought her back was not an apology. It was dinner with Gloria and Gloria's husband, Ed, who explained his opinions with the patient confidence of a man accustomed to being wrong without consequences. On the drive home, Joan said, I had a nice time. I said, I didn't. She waited for me to soften it. I wanted to. Gloria had given us banana bread. Ed had paid for dinner. Disliking an evening after someone paid for it felt like ingratitude with a receipt. Instead, I told her Ed interrupted her 12 times and called me big guy, even though we were the same size. Joan laughed for 2 miles. That night, she carried her pillow back to our room. Dinner began at 6. Rachel and Nate arrived at 5:30 because Nate believed punctuality included setup. He brought wine and a pie, despite being told we had cake. The pie is contingency, he explained. Contingency for what? I asked. Cake failure. I inspected it. That reassures no one. Rachel had cut her hair shorter. Joan told her it looked beautiful. I told her she looked like an actress whose name I couldn't remember. That is exactly the kind of compliment I missed, she said. Elise arrived alone. She wore the silver earrings Joan had given her, both of them. Joan noticed immediately but did not mention them. She hugged Elise and held on until Elise laughed. I need my ribs. You have others. When Elise came to me, she kissed my cheek. You look the same, she said. That's the moisturizer. You use hand soap on your face. It contains moisture. She carried a paper grocery bag into the kitchen. Inside were olives, 2 lemons, and a loaf of bread from Seattle. For the chicken, she said. Your olives are not welcome, Joan replied. They traveled farther than I did. They can rest in the refrigerator. Adam arrived last. He stopped in the doorway when he saw Elise. They had been together twice since she returned, but they still seemed surprised by each other in rooms that belonged to their former life. Hi, he said. Hi. He held out a small cardboard box. I brought your mail. You could have left it at the house. I know. She accepted it anyway. At the table, nobody obeyed Elise's request not to analyze the seating. We all noticed that she and Adam sat beside each other, but left more space between their chairs than necessary. The lemon chicken was better with olives. Joan refused to admit this. Elise told us about Seattle, the program, and an instructor who could make soup for 200 people, but had never learned to send an email attachment. Nate asked questions about funding. Rachel asked whether kitchen injuries were better or worse than emergency room injuries. Joan asked if rain really happened every day. Adam listened. He did not add details or translate. When Elise forgot the name of a restaurant they had visited during his trip, he said, "The one with the blue sign," and waited until she remembered it herself. Halfway through dinner, Rachel put down her fork. "Are we allowed to ask what's happening with you two?" Nate closed his eyes. "What?" she said. "We're all thinking it." Elise looked at Adam. He looked back. "We're talking," she said. "Once a week," Adam added. "Wednesdays." "And Sundays sometimes," Elise said. "If Wednesday went badly, or, well." Rachel nodded. "Are you still separated?" "Yes," they said together. That made everyone laugh, including them. "Are you staying married?" Rachel asked. "We are married," Adam said. "We don't know what it will look like." Elise glanced at him. "That was accurate. I practiced. Of course you did." He smiled. Rachel did not. "You lied to me for 4 years," she said. The laughter disappeared. "I know," Adam replied. "You don't get points for accurate seating reports." "I know. You made Dad's absence from my housewarming into a judgment about my entire life." "I know." "Stop saying that." He inhaled. "I'm sorry. I wanted your anger to have somewhere to go. That wasn't me. I used Dad because I knew he wouldn't correct it, and I used your divorce because I knew it hurt enough to explain the distance." Rachel's face tightened. "That is an awful apology." "Yes. It's also the first one that sounds true." "I hope so." She picked up her fork. "I'm not over it. I understand. Don't turn understanding into a personality." "I'll try." Nate reached for the wine. "I believe this is why the bottle exists." The meal continued, not smoothly. Smoothness had lost its authority with us. Joan told Elise she had hated the rosemary cake. Elise defended it with professional credentials. Rachel accused me of giving Nate the larger piece of chicken. Nate admitted he had taken it himself. Adam said the original lemon chicken was dry, then flinched as though waiting for the ceiling to fall. Joan stared at him. "It is dry," she said. "I've been saying that for years," I replied. "You said it had character, dry character." Near dessert, Elise found me alone in the kitchen cutting the chocolate cake. "The left side is bigger," she said. "I'm correcting for history." She leaned against the counter. "Adam told me about Saturdays. He asked first." "I know." "Are you all right with it?" She considered. "I'm sad. That isn't what I asked." "Yes, it is." "You just wanted a simpler answer." She was right. "I don't want him to come here because he's lonely after I leave," she continued. "I want him to come because this is his life too." He said it was. Then I'm all right with it. She looked through the doorway at him. "He's different." "Yes, not enough." "No, maybe enough to keep looking." I handed her the cake knife. "You cut straighter." We carried dessert in together. The cake survived. Nate's contingency pie remained untouched. After coffee, Adam became quiet. He checked the clock twice, then shifted in his chair. Elise noticed. So did Rachel. So did Joan. The old family reflex moved around the table like a draft. Elise would be tired. Adam had work. The drive was long. Somebody would offer him a reason that belonged to another person. He put both hands flat on the table. "I'm uncomfortable," he said, "and I want to go home." Nobody moved. Then Joan said, "Thank you." Adam laughed nervously. "That's strange." "It was a clean sentence," she replied. He looked at Elise. "You don't have to leave." "I know. I'm not asking you to." "I know. I don't want everybody watching us to see what you do." "We're already watching," Rachel said. Nate touched her arm. "What?" she asked. "We are." Elise smiled. "I was going to ask if you wanted to take a walk." Adam blinked. "Now?" "Unless going home means you need to be alone." He thought about it. "I don't need to be alone. I need to leave the table. Then let's walk." They stood. At the front door, Adam put on his jacket. Elise wrapped a scarf around her neck. Not his, hers. He looked back at me. "Saturday? 9. I'll bring coffee." "What kind?" I asked. He almost gave the automatic answer. Then he said, "I don't remember what you drink." "Black." "I'll bring it black." They stepped out into the cold together, leaving in separate cars and meeting at the sidewalk. Through the window, I watched them turn down the street. They did not hold hands. They walked close enough that they could have. At the table, Joan reached beneath the edge and took my hand. There were still empty places between all of us. Some would close, some might not. For once, nobody rushed to fill them with a lie.